reveals that
This is Fern Halls.
and you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. That might be a little confusing. I know we've talked a lot about a different Final Fantasy game lately. I'm Jax. Joining me today, we've got a full house. Everybody is here. One of the rare times where we got everybody. As things
at least for this time of year.
Yeah, as things get busier towards the end of the year here. Zen's here, Aldino's here, Rook's here.
Hello.
Hello. And also joining us, we have a very special guest joining us today. Dell, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So if anybody used to listen to the old Pet Food Alpha podcast back in the day, you might recognize Dell was with us back then. I'm trying to think, what was like one of the most, like, Get Behind the Outpost is probably...
Get Behind the Outpost, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It's probably the biggest one.
Beaster.
I know.
Yeah. It's been a minute. How are you? What's been going on?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Mostly life stuff, trying to squeeze games in there, but between, I don't know, the past 10 years between like med school and kids and all that fun stuff. So
Sounds like you've been a busy person.
There's a couple things. There's a couple things have happened. Okay, so news for this week. We talked about the Primals concert last week. That's still up, I think, for a couple more days until the 7th. So if you're listening to this on MP3 or something, it's too late. You missed it. So go check that out if you haven't already. You can buy the ticket and watch that digitally. The Tokyo Game Show merch is still up. Some of it's also up on other websites that are cheaper and quicker than the Square Enix store. You know my spiel. I don't need to go through it again. Order it from those other places. They also just, I think yesterday, day before, they are doing another run of the Omega statue. So if you missed the Meister Arts Omega the first time around with the really weird articulated faces, that's available again for pre-order. So make sure to pick that up. And yeah, we're just gonna go right into the live letter, I guess.
Well, don't we have a little bit of personal news?
We do.
We started up our Patreon. Yeah, we started up our Patreon recently. And so the way that we've decided to go about the system is for the month after we release the content that we're going to do. And it'll be staggered releases as well. We have a couple of things in there right now, including our series Dungeon Disaster. But our very first Dungeon Disaster has come off of that Patreon month of secretude. So everybody can check it out if they want.
I like the secretude. That's a solid term. Yes, it is now
I
available
don't use
to
real
the
language.
public.
It's boring.
Now the public can watch it. So make sure to head on over to the Gamerscape YouTube and check that out. Obviously, it is the first one. It's a new thing. So give us your
We
feedback.
didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But that's also the point of the segment.
And the wheel's like, yeah, but like, what if we give you like a normal ass party and it's not actually a disaster? And we're like, well,
the next one is
that
way
was the
worse.
wheel. The wheel. The next one's going to be fun to edit. We'll say fun to edit. That's a good word to use. But yeah, check that out. And if you want to get early access to videos like Dungeon Disaster and whatever else we come up with, make sure to head on over to patreon.com/Aetheryte Radio to get in on that. And then also at the end of these episodes, you get to see your name scroll past on the screen. So that's the thing. It's a thing we do.
Because we love you. Thank you.
We love you. Thank you to everybody so far that has subscribed or what's the verbiage there? Subscribe.
Petrified.
Patron, who is a patron of ours,
Patronized.
who has given us their
It's patronized.
patronage.
Thank you for patronizing.
Thank you for patronizing us.
I like
I
petrified.
was wondering when we'd get one of these. There have been so many bots on
Yeah, there's
Twitch
been an
lately.
excess of them
Holy
recently, but
wow. we could get would you like the best viewers? And it's like, we have the best viewers already.
Yeah.
we already got
What do
them. Did it?
Right? I like the one I was watching a friend stream yesterday. Cheapest viewers or cheap viewers. I'm like, are they calling us cheap? That's rude.
Yes.
Unreal. All right, so During the live letter, we got our very first look at well, I should say very first, because we got that the other week with the picture of the throne room. We've got another picture here now too with Juno for the first tier of the Echoes of Vana'diel raid. It's called Echoes of Vana'diel Part 1, Juno the First Walk. It's a shot of Juno, which is we gotta like baby step this for some people. So Juno in Final Fantasy XI is a kind of central hub city. Think of it as, it wouldn't not be unlike Ishgard. Like when 1.0 came out, a lot of people looked at Ishgard and they're like, oh, that's Juno, except like we never went there. It wasn't really a thing in 1.0. But this was back in the day before party finders and stuff. If people like the easiest way to kind of like advertise things was through shout chat, and so people would go to the centralized location, which in this case is Juno. They would also, there were some items,
the Valley of the Dolls.
The Valley of, well, that's outside. So that's another thing too. In 11, it had an auction house system to sell things, and you could also sell things on your person, and that was called a bazaar. And so things that were used to like spawn notorious monsters, or currencies used to purchase relic weapons, that kind of stuff, you couldn't put on the auction house, so people would bazaar them. So if you walked just outside of the city into Rollenberry Fields, you would just see, if you played 1.0, and if you remember like the original like market district thing from 1.0, that was Rollenberry Fields right outside of Juno. It was just a bunch of AFK people selling things. You just had to go and look at everybody's little store to see if anybody had what you wanted.
I had the nicest experience out there one time selling Dynamis currency. I was the leader of a Dynamis shell.
Apologies.
Yeah. And that was the thing that took over my life for many years. But I would sell some of the currency that we got, because we would split it between the link shell and the person who was actually like fronting the money to go in, because they wanted a relic weapon. So I was selling the currency, and I mislisted a very expensive piece.
Oh no!
For like a couple of zeros or something. Somebody bought the piece and then sent me a tell like, "Hey, you did this wrong. Here's your stuff. Can I have my money back?" And I'm like, yes, absolutely.
So I just want to say real quick,
Isn't that nice?
So rare.
Right?
That is so rare in that game at that time. Like the way that like the auction house stuff would work is like people would list the items up, but you couldn't see for how much. So you would like put a bid in, right? And so if you bid low and like somebody messed up their numbers, you'd get it. And it's like, oh, I saw you got this thing. Can I have it back? No.
No, you can't.
I'm not giving you back the peacock charm I got for 10K. Are you kidding me? This is mine now. Probably wasn't 10K, but that was me. I was the asshole that was like, nah, mine. I need the accuracy.
It's a good thing Fusion didn't buy that item from using Egypt.
Seriously.
Well,
that's some nice
dynamics. The
thing
about it was that was to avoid taxes too, remember? And Juno,
right.
like there were taxes when you bazared things, so everybody just took a step outside in the tax-free zone.
Because that currency was not cheap either.
No, I mean, and this is stuff. I think we've mentioned it a couple times, but for the uninitiated, there was a content type in 11 called Dynamis, which it was basically like you'd go in with your link shell like once a week. You spent like 1 million gil to get access to it, and then you would basically just go around, kill NMs, you'd farm.
It was
AF.
hard to make money in 11 too. 1 million gil was not insignificant.
And you could do this, keep all the currency, and then maybe one person in that link shell after like a year of doing this would get a relic weapon.
Oh god.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah. It was a little wild back then. That's when people refer to grinding in MMOs, that's the extremist, like the most extreme form of grinding, I think, is relic weapons in 11.
It's also the reason I had a post-it note stuck to my TV for years that said "hug the wall."
Yes.
I'm glad there were giggles. You guys know what I'm talking about.
I understand. If you've ever played a game with the stealth mechanic, you know what that means.
Oh god.
Don't aggro anything.
You are dead if you do.
Juno the First
Oh,
walks.
really quick.
Yes.
I do have to tell you the name of our Dynamis shell because
Okay.
it will make you guys laugh. We melee statues.
Oh yes, that's what it was.
Perfect.
Because
Yeah,
you do not melee statues.
don't do that.
You
Nope.
don't. Nope. Back in my day.
Yeah, I
used
get
to-
it. Final Fantasy 11 jokes, me too.
Yeah.
What you would do, Rook, non 11 initiate, you would time nuke the statue. So you would have like an entire party of just black mages, and you would have someone count down when to cast, and you would just
These were like
In
an
one go.
enemy type in Dynamis
Yeah,
that were like
yep.
statues?
There's
Oh,
statues
okay.
that are like effigies of like the Beastmen. And a lot of times
Oh.
killing these statues can spawn a group of mobs and also extend the time that you can stay in Dynamite.
Yep.
So you
you
wanted
need
to
to kill them.
prioritize, yeah. So you'd have
But also, they're
black
gonna
mages
rain
and
terror down on your head when you do.
time nuke, yeah. If you go back and
Okay.
watch the 11 cinematic, the opening, there's all these Taru that are like casting meteors to like drop down onto the approaching army. Kind of like that. Everybody's like, all right, and together and good. We're good.
Yep.
So many sack pulls. Oh my
Teamwork.
god.
Stack pulls, yes. It's not what you think. It's not dirty.
Maybe
So-
a little.
So
And
Juno
in
the
that game,
Definitely.
they took your XP.
yeah.
Let's talk about 14. I'm sorry.
I de-leveled in Eureka this week. We don't need to talk about it. Juno the First walk. So last week, I'm gonna bring this up. We don't have cams with the slides this week since we have Dell joining us. So last episode, wasn't last week. This was Vana'diel. This was like, I think this is maybe potentially possibly maybe how this works, ? Okay. Where we know we have reflections of Vana'diel. We don't know exactly what they are or how it works, but this was kind of the thought, right? Is that we needed to figure out which version of Vana'diel existed on the same plane as the source, because that's how we get there. I've thought about it a little bit. There's a lot more like time peak,
Mhm.
right? Then it's not just like in 14 it's like it's the first, it's the second, it's the
Mhm.
ninth, what like right, and then like Rahati is over here like, I came from a dark future. It's like, okay, that's another
Okay.
thing now that we have to worry about, right?
Great.
We have one of those in 11. I think Iroha and Graha should go out and get a beer together. I think that'd be a fantastic conversation starter. Oh, you too came from a dark future. So I've rearranged the kind of map to consider reflections, but also maybe that they are alternate timeline. Okay, so stay with me here. So this is the new one. Where we have base game Final Fantasy 11 884 is kind of right there at the top. It's the nipple poking out of the I don't know, the game boob. I don't know what we want to call this, but basically
Such an
I don't
evocative
like
language.
any of this.
it's the same as the
Yeah, I
source.
hate-
It's
I
the
hate
same as
everything
the
that's happening.
source, right? That's the one that's available to the greater plane of existence, right?
Okay, so Fusion, I have another question
Yes,
for you. Really
please,
fast. So
please.
if these are I'm about to get so inappropriate, and I just hope everybody's
Sure.
ready for this.
Go for it.
If these are the nipples and boobs of Final Fantasy 11, is this like is Final Fantasy 11 actually just like the Gaia boss fight, the fertility icon, or would you say that the one at the top-
Eden. It's not
Yeah,
it's not
sorry,
the boss fight
Eden.
with the underage teenage girl. It is the
Okay, it is Gaia though, but is it like the Eden one? Like, would you say the ones at the top are like the top tiers?
Mm.
And then you're kind of like you're working your way down into the other tiers.
Well,
of
really,
Yuba?
what it is we're trying to find. I mean, and I can. Where's my? Well, I didn't update this one, right? But I'll bring this back. So this is the old one. So we have the source, right, and the reflections, and we have how the source kind of sticks out there, right? It's not a nipple,
Okay.
right? It's not a nipple.
This is more nipple talk than I expected for today.
Right?
but
Yeah,
thank you.
it's not. So then,
I
so really, the biggest question then is, what is Vana'diel's nipple, right?
uh-huh.
I
And
agree.
so it's probably which slide is it? It's probably base game 884.
Okay.
A great
why-
vintage.
Because
yeah, it's a great vintage of nipple.
right.
Okay, Fusion, I don't mean to
No,
slow your roll yet
please
again.
ask
And
all the questions.
Okay, and I promise this one's gonna be more appropriate than the dumb jokes I was previously making.
Why?
So I'm sorry. Okay, Alden. Now, if you want something else, I mean, we can.
No,
I
it's
can
fine.
make
It's
it a
fine.
little bit less appropriate. Okay, so that diagram that you were
Yes.
just showing us.
Yes.
That is the one. If instead of being reflections, they are alternate timelines set in the past or present.
So hold on. You'll note the dotted lines, right? These are all dotted
sure, I
lines.
will.
There's one solid line.
Nice.
There's two solid lines here.
Mhm.
One is from provenance /
Different
origin.
kinds of dotted lines too.
And I'm getting to it. Let me explain. It makes sense to me.
Are the dotted lines to determine which one is a boob and which one is specifically a nipple, or is it?
No. There's only one nipple. We're not Scaramanga from Man with the Golden Gun here. There's not like 3 nipples. It's a weird James Bond
Okay.
reference. If you got that, good
Yeah.
on you. So right, as far as makes sense, I think Crystal Era 884, the base game for Final Fantasy XI, I think that's our Vana'diel nipple. Okay.
Yeah.
We know that has a dark future attached to it because when Aroha shows up for Rhapsodies of Vana'diel, she's like, Crystal Era 898. And she's 14, so that would mean that, yes, that would be 14 years later is the dark future that she comes from. So we know that we have a dark future attached to base game. That is a solid green line. That is a for sure thing, okay? We know that Vana'diel's has reflections, so we know that our base game came from Providence, whatever, solid connection, right? Totally a thing, locked in. What we don't know is if Crystal Era 862, also known as the Shadow Rain Realm, is that an actual reflection? Or is it just the past and nobody
Right.
knows for sure? Thus, the dotted line, right? And it's red because it's going backwards. It's a past thing. The green lines are future, okay?
Can I interject for you?
Absolutely.
See, I would buy that, except for the fact that they implemented in the game things that you do in that realm affect the Age of Adventures, the current like
Did
pixies,
they?
if you remember, and things like that. Like if you saved pixies in 20 years in the past, they appeared in the present. So
I
that
forgot
kind of
about
like
that.
makes it a streamline of time rather than I feel like a
I'm
reflection.
so old that I remember that being a thing that the community talked about. It was like, oh yeah, and like things could go extinct and stuff. And then at the one point, the developers like, the hell you guys talking about? We never told you we were doing that. And then they did it or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine that this dotted red line is a solid red.
Okay, so that was the past
That's
of
the past.
the shard. That was where you.
That's
is the
base game. Yep.
Okay,
And so
but
they're all
like,
yeah.
do people not realize that it was the past, or was it like an alternate past that was saved so that it didn't happen?
Yeah, so Shadow Rain, so this was the entirety of the Wings of the Goddess expansion right here. The whole premise was like you went back in time and you're fighting during the Crystal War, right? Which, spoiler, you know who was leading the Beastman armies? The Shadow Lord. So the whole idea is that we went back in time and we're basically just fighting through the war. But during that, there's obviously they need to mix it up and not have it be just a history lesson. So there's a group of people that are just basically in purple red mage gear. for
Night Wardens.
Yep. And they're like, did you know that your Vana'diel's not actually the real Vana'diel? And like, this is the real Vana'diel? And it's like, huh? Like, run that by me again. This was also before they established that like reflections were a thing. So whether they had that idea here and they just didn't say it out loud, you know, we don't know. But okay, so we'll say that Shadow Rain is actually the past, right? So we could move that up and put it right next to the nipple on the other side here. But we also know that there's a character in Wings of the Goddess named Lilith who also comes from a dark future. Ooh. So we know that there is for sure a dark future that connects to that, right? We don't know if it's, you know, the year 898. Who knows? It could be. We don't know. There's also the other reflection. We talked about this the other week. This was on the map. It's still on the map. This is kind of a weird one. The random dimension that Shantoto talks about in Shantoto Ascension. These are also color coded, if you'll note, right? So the ones that aren't dark are still good and haven't like fallen, as it were, right? Obviously Shadow Rain's kind of like on the way there because it's like wartime and the Shadow Lord is kind of kicking everybody's butt. But we know like base game is solid.
They fixed it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
fine.
it's still it's not great, but it's not completely gone, right? Um, the Shantoto Ascension thing is weird. I really just need to go back through all these. Is really ultimately what I need to
Yeah.
do. But then we have a couple other things. We have the Deswesha battlefield from Rhapsodies, I think it was. That's like a dark alternate timeline, right? We talked about this the other week too, where a lot of things are seemingly dark alternate futures. Are they reflections? Are they just fast forward timeline things? It's unclear, right? But we did kind of, as me, Del, and some of our old PFA people were talking, we did think we might have found the void for 11. We joked about this the other week with, the reflections like void at home ? There's an NPC that shows up in Juno that starts what's called the Voidwalker series of quests, and his name is an anagram for I am Abyssian, which is in one of the other realities,
That
right?
can't be right.
It
Love the
absolutely is.
localization.
It absolutely, yeah. Not
That's-
Niam. I forget what's the name. It's such a weird name, but it's definitely I am Abyssian if you rearrange the
Yeah.
letters. Which
No.
means if he's helping us kill void stuff and he's Abyssian, is Abyssia the void? Maybe. So there you go.
I
So
mean, I
that's-
believe it, but I also don't want to.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll fully acknowledge this it's a bit of a crazy diagram. But one thing that we do have here that's not labeled is right here in the middle around everything is the Walk of Echoes. So we mentioned this briefly last time. It wasn't actually on the diagram just because it's like, well, we don't know how this works. We don't know if Shadow Rain is the past or if it's a reflection, because they're like,
But
this is like
when
the
you
space.
don't know how something works,
Sure.
you can make
Right.
up something for it.
Exactly. And they're like, so Walk of Echoes, it's like the space between spaces. It's like a weird dimensional garbage dump or something.
The back rooms.
Yeah. And so we didn't know if this existed between all or just between Shadow Rain and base game, right? But now, with this live letter, Juno the First Walk.
Pretty clear.
The raid is called Echoes of Vana'diel. It seems very obvious now where we'll be going. So this will be.
I'm actually really surprised that didn't clue you in before.
I mean, it wasn't not there. You know what I mean? But it's like there's so many ways they could do this.
Okay, so then let me ask.
Yeah.
What does that mean? like it,
Fair.
I'm sorry.
What does it mean?
The pause after the what does that mean? Like, oh, that's the whole question.
I like the thought of, so the Walk of Echoes, the way I've always equated it is like old school gamers will remember in Chrono Trigger, there was the like bend in time or whatever. Like you go there's a bunch of portals that just kind of lead to all these other like timelines and stuff like that. And it's kind of like that. Like the picture doesn't show any, but there's like portals everywhere. There's doors that may or may not open and stuff like that. So it could be the space between time and space. And maybe from Eorzea you find a way to enter the Walk of Echoes. Who knows?
Think of it as a sandwich made of chunky peanut butter. Each like timeline or reflection is a bit of peanut, and the Walk of Echoes is the peanut butter that it's all in.
And I'm swimming in the peanut butter?
Yes, we're going to
My
the peanut
body
butter.
is covered in peanut butter?
Peanut
I
butter
have
raid.
become one with the peanut butter?
Peanut butter
I
and
like peanut
nipples.
butter.
Whew.
Yeah.
How many nipples
Wow.
are there in the
I gotta
peanut
go.
butter? Do I have to avoid them while flying to the other places? Or is it
Unclear.
Okay. All right. No, I
Yeah.
absolutely get the I understand the peanut butter now in context of the Delaney's actual wonderful explanation about Chrono Trigger, which yes, that makes total sense. I understand that. Sure, yeah, you've got like
Easy.
a liminal space in which there are like metaphorical or otherwise doorways that like for whatever reason pop you into different places in space time, which I guess does make sense in regards to like this conversation about whether or not we are like somehow going to the world of 11 or how 11 exists within the context of 14 or like if you're literally going to Vana'diel or you're going somewhere else or So it seems like if I'm intuiting right from this context, that they are instead going to be taking us to some kind of strange liminal space, which perhaps answers the question of how all of these other worlds can plausibly have canonical crossover events in Final Fantasy XIV.
And James in the chat says, educated guesses, I guess we somehow get to the Walk of Echoes via the Ethereal Sea or a Void Gate. So it's probably not Ethereal Sea. I think the Ethereal Sea as we know it is specific to Aetheris, Hydaelyn, all that stuff. It's not space, right? So we get to Vana'diel via space, right? The thing is, the big question is where we land, right? And again, I'd like to point you to the Nipple, right?
Sure.
Probably base game Crystal Era 884, right? It's possible that we just land in the Walk of Echoes, but we could easily get to the Walk of Echoes from any version of Vana'diel that exists as the Nipple.
Yeah.
In Wings of the Goddess, when you go to the past, you do that through Atomos. You find Atomos, the patch 1 life, you're like, oh, what's this? And it just sucks you in, and there you go. Oh. That's how we do it. Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, Juno the first walk. So obviously, this looks like Juno. I mean, there might be a couple extra flags just for flair. But we did see the throne room, which is not the same throne room that we've seen in 11 previously, both in base game and Crystal War era. So it's different. It's an open air concept throne room.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells us it's not the same version, right?
That's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool.
I like the style.
Yeah. So what that tells us basically is like this probably isn't going to be the same version of Vana'diel that players are playing right now in 11, right? It's going to be an alternate chunk or something, because how do we go from Juno to the throne room up in the north, right? Because like there's like we got to go through like Bucetine Glacier and Zarkabard. Like how do we?
That's helping you fight your way through
played
Warriors
11,
of
that is
Light.
2 hours travel.
Yeah, it's a journey. I mean, I think it's probably at this point it's probably safe to say we'll see Kate Sith pop up if Walk of Echoes is involved, which will be the same model as in 14. I'm sure that won't be confusing to anybody.
They put a crag out there. It's teleport throne room.
There you go. You can actually teleport to the throne room now. It's quality of life. They added home points at all the BCNMs. Yeah. Stuff happened, man. 2.0 launched. Matsui's like, I'm done. I'm going to go do 11. All this cool quality of life stuff we did in 2.0, I'm adding it in here. Item levels? Absolutely. Later 11 got wild.
I can never just...
Yeah, so...
That game ate up so much of your life. It was embedded in old school MMO, just crap nonsense.
Yeah.
Ugh. The idea that it has changed makes me enraged so much, and I'm not showing it.
You know, it's like in 14 right now. Like people are like, all right, we're gonna do Savage tonight. We're gonna queue up. We're gonna get together and make a party, and we're just gonna hit a button and go into the fight. In 11, you wanted to do something like that? Okay, cool. Meet in a town, get together, teleport to the nearest teleport point, which is probably at least 2, maybe 3 zones away.
Yeah.
Spend a good half hour getting to the place where the fight is. Do the fight, get kicked out, have to walk around the zone to get back to the entrance of where you do the fight. Depending on the fight, you might have to wait in a line because there's not actual instances in some of these zones. Yeah. Battlefield is just in a little ring and only one party can go in at a time.
You live like this?
And I hope you have your strategy down, because if you wipe, you have to take that travel all over again.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a home point and go all the way back. You could actually, if you went to the throne room, if you were on like the bridge at Castle's Wall Keep going to the throne room, if you looked up and to the left, you could actually see some little lights in the distance. That was actually where the battlefield of the throne room was. It's actually just kind of floating up in like space away from everything. Yeah, instances in old games is weird, man. Let me tell you.
So, a question coming out of this then.
Just one.
One so far, just like the one single nipple on that diagram.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, just for you.
No. There's multiple nipples.
I'm just so glad that I could titillate everybody with this concept.
Oh, so there's there's like invisible dimensional nipples. Okay, all right. No. I'm getting it now. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Okay. So question. Juno plus Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
Is there a connection? Is it like
Base game.
Juno? It's just that like
Yeah.
Shadow Lord was involved, and Juno's from base game, and there's the time, like the timeline and stuff. But like, there's nothing specific you would say that like was a direct kind of connection to like why they would have picked Juno specifically?
No, I mean Juno. I think there's not like a solid connection. Again, they you know, and this was talked about the other week. They could remix a story a little bit, right, and make it how they want. But in terms of fan service, which this raid is, Juno is the one city they could pick that would make everyone happy and not exclude anybody.
That's true. That's very true.
Okay.
It's like,
You know how,
what about
currently
Bastok?
we're all
What about
kind of like-
Winders? What about Sandoria? They can't do just one of those because then the other two people are like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this, everybody went there. Everybody knows Juno.
You know how
Easy
people are
solve.
like very city centric in our game? Like I'm like, live the limits or die. That's how people are about the cities in 11, perhaps more so.
More so because they had they had
more so,
the
for
whole
sure.
conquest
Absolutely.
system in 11 where you could actually take
Yeah.
control of zones and then you would
Mhm.
unlock teleports, and
Wow.
11 was
Okay.
deep, man. They had some crazy. We didn't have like fates, but there was definitely like map and regional
Yeah.
things to do. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the connection there is just they could do this and nobody would be feel left out. And obviously we know we're gonna get Shadow Lord, which it covers like base game kind of, I think, roughly, right, in a remixed kind of way. It's like, here's the one city,
Mhm.
here's the boss. The question is,
Yeah.
how far down the timeline of what we know do we go, right?
Mhm.
Because next up would then be like the Rise of Xylart expansion, which had the Archangels. The Archduke of Juno, he's actually a bad guy, as it turns out. He's part of an ancient race, and yeah, it's bad.
He's part of an ancient race that are larger than we are.
A little bit. Yeah. And so we kill him and his brother on a floating island in the sky that also plays host to the Four Lords as notorious monsters in Xylart. So that could be the second tier.
The names of stuff so much simpler in 11.
It's I mean,
they weren't the real names, but the way people referred to them.
Yeah.
Sky.
Yes.
Sea.
Yep. I mean, really, the question we had this last time is what do they include and what, because they can't get to everything. It's not reasonable, right?
Right.
And the more we look about this, it the idea that it's probably just another Promathia took over again bullshit story. It seems a little more possible, and that's kind of funny to me, just because like I feel like they've already pulled that thread a few times, just in 11 by itself.
Though to be fair, like there's a handful of us here that have played the game and also remember it. I don't remember almost anything. There are going to be just as many other people, if probably not more, in 14 who are like, I've never seen this story before. That's fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're leaning towards. Obviously, what we know now, the first walk, it's got to be tied through Walk of Echoes. We're going to use that to go to whatever. The reason for going to it, that's still up in the air. We don't know why.
Content.
Maybe Kate Sith just shows up and it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Come on over here. Something.
There's a
Lures you
rift
over.
in the rift.
Mhm.
There you go.
Would you pop through this rift?
Somebody poked a hole in the rift.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what we're looking at. So, but
The moment I get called a Mithra, I'm gonna scream.
Oh, sure, yeah.
In a good way or a bad way? Good way.
Bad way.
Bad way?
it's actually really funny because like we just got through with Dawn Trail where they all had they had yet another series of names for the races, and then they're gonna pull this in, and at least one is gonna get said somewhere, and people are gonna be like, oh my god, more of these. Why are there more names now? Like, I am a Lalafell, but there's also like 5 other things you could be called.
The real question is, will the Lalafells in this talk like the Lalafells in 11 did?
No,
Will
no,
it
they
be their knees
a nightmare?
they
no
kind
longer
of
be
rhyme a
able to
little
bend
bit.
their
They
knees?
say like Karu at the end of a lot of their sentences.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They
And if
kind of
we-
rhyme a lot of it, and they say
If we meet Shantoto, she
Wasn't that just
rhymes.
specific ones?
maybe just specific
Well,
ones. I
Shantoto
don't
rhymes,
know.
but then a lot of them will say like Haru or Aru or something kind of at the end.
Yeah,
It's not
Aru at the end.
not
Yeah.
every line, but like it's a frequently like 11 did a thing where they like to try and like alliterate like accents and stuff like that. So like there's the dancer in Wings of the Goddess Mayakov who's got like this. He's got like a lisp, and it's like that's how it's like translated into English, like with the sounds and the lisp, and it's so hard to read what he says. But
That reminds me
we
of
didn't have
the
voice acting, so
Yeah.
that reminds me of the program they used for Chrono Cross when they were developing like because it has like 42 characters in there, and they gave each one like a different accent or a different
yeah,
way of
Mm.
speaking, and they had to populate that really fast. And I remember they used that.
Mm.
different times for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dal? Here, any predictions on what just we've got the first walk, we've got Juno, we've got Shadow Lord. What do you think might happen here?
So first of all, looking at your map with all the nipples and everything else,
Sure.
I really like that you pointed to Abyssia and the possibility of it being the void for a lot of reasons, but also it's one of the few timeline, like honestly, it's one of the few spaces that it doesn't have a time attached to it. So it's not the past, it's not a dark future, nothing like that. I don't think in game you're ever given like what timeline this is. I think it's like an equivalent, like alternate universe.
It might be like it's that or like a vaguely hinted like the future crapped itself again or something like.
Again.
But I can't remember if they like solidified that or not. So.
And if I remember, like it has a crimson sky in there, and they're like all the monsters are powered by this weird crimson sky, and this and that, and it very much has some sort of like weird void feel to it. So I do like that.
Yeah.
I think if we're looking at it realistically, and I know Joe and I go back and forth of what we would like to see, I would rather look at what's probably feasible and what looks like fan service. And I think, yeah, if this is the first walk, like maybe it will get to Shadow Lord, and then second walk, maybe a short, quick through cop that might have, Primivian in it. And then I think they would probably just go straight to Wings. I don't think they would do anything with like treasures, but
That hurts my soul. Treasures was the
I
best
know,
expansion.
but it's so divorced from everything else going on,
True.
like back home, like in the three nations of Vana'diel and Quan and Mindardia. But I think that's probably the most that we would get, and I assume it would be like maybe like 3 walks, maybe.
Yeah, we would get 3. Yeah, unless they are like, hey, would you guys like a 4th alliance raid this patch?
Hey, this is
cycle?
bringing up a lot of people.
I mean,
Let's
yes.
keep it up.
I wouldn't say no.
As long as one of them is freaking Ottergon, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, like what else do we have? Like, because like Xylart didn't really have, like, they're not going to do like Chasm the second walk. Like they're not. That's not a thing. The Temple of Ugalepe the second walk, probably.
I mean, really, I just equate, Zillart to just being an extension of base game most
I
of the
do
time.
also.
anyway.
and it was for a lot of people because that.
Yeah, I mean the
that's-
Japanese probably won't think that because they got the whole first bit
for
without
the
Zillart,
West, we didn't get like Xylart was base game for us. And then I think
Mm.
COP was base game for some people in EU. I think Chile was saying so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Everybody, and again, like everybody played at certain times. Everybody's got their own experience with it. So at this point, like I'm gonna say maybe like have Neazia the second walk. Maybe they
I could
they
definitely
smush,
see
they
them
smush a little
switching.
bit of Xylart in with Tav
Mhm.
stuff.
We freaking get
Yeah.
in there. The Shadow Lord thing is actually just the first boss fight. It's like what?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we have this look at Juno. It says Juno the first walk, so it gives me the impression that that's where we start, right? And it's
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of things to fight in this area of the screenshot that
Alright,
they
so-
give us.
This is gonna be like It's a Wonderful Life, where they're like, let me show you what your world could be like, and then they take you to 11, like, look how freaking weird this timeline is. It's all over the place. You have a nice like circular, confusing but not as confusing as this bunch of shards. You're welcome. Also, you don't lose XP. Double you're welcome.
There you go. Yeah, so I it's
And they send us home.
the question is like we probably start in Juno, and I mean they Shadow Lord was like the first concept art they gave us for this. We saw the throne room screenshot for the raid as well. It could be just to throw us off. It could be like the first boss, or it's the final one because it's again it's that question of what story are they trying to tell with this? How much of 11 are they trying to cram into this? But but the big question, really, I think for me right now is the way I am assuming it will go is that Juno's the first zone, Throne Room is final boss with Shadowlord. But then what's in between?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a Zarkabard.
Mm.
Or a bit of like Castle's Vault, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So-
Zarkabard is the
what's
frozen
Zarkabard?
north where Castle's Vault is, which is where the throne room is located.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically the zone that leads up to the castle that leads up to the throne room.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bad
like
guy
a
land.
march on the castle.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a snowy bad guy land with a pretty cool skybox for its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will note, Fusion, looking at the picture that they give us of the throne room, it does have the seals on it, so that means it's not from the past and it is from the present of Vana'diel.
Hmm.
So, I mean, take what you will. But
Yeah, I mean, it's also
so it'll follow, like, I guess, the playable game and not push anything toward the past, I assume, in this expansion.
Yeah, I which is why I don't know that we'll necessarily do Wings of the Goddess. They may just take elements of that and sprinkle, throughout in this. But then what do you end on? That's
I assume if you did, you would end on Cop. I don't know.
yeah, that's why I think it might just be leading up to another Promathia taking over the world bullshit story, right? Because I feel like that's the thing that makes the most sense. You don't do like Echoes of Vana'diel and then be like, then Alexander and Odin are the final boss, and it's like, but why them?
Sure.
Maybe Odin. Odin's got a lot more to him
And I
than
love Otter God so
than
much.
I
and it's all
remembered
I want.
actually as we were talking. Yeah, Odin's got a lot of stuff going with him.
If I have to sit through the rest of 11, give me that.
But then it's also tricky because you want to probably try and place emphasis on the unique characters and not being like, hey, look, I know we already have an Alexander and an Odin, but like here they are again.
They're
And
everywhere.
I will say that Alexander was much more fun in 14 than 11. Much more impressive stuff behind that.
I liked the concept of Alexander in 11, not the boss fight itself, but the the idea that you go out to this new land and you see these ruins sticking out of the water, and then eventually they're like, yo, that's actually all Alexander. And it's like, oh, but then like you fight Alexander and it's like this little thing because it has to be, you know what I mean? Like you can't fight an entire undersea ruin in a 22-year-old MMO. It doesn't really work well. But yeah, I mean, both Alexanders are really cool. I like the steampunk vibe in 14 as well.
And the music.
Ragnarok, absolutely. That's one of the best tracks from 11.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I didn't even think about what music we're gonna get from the.
It's really funny.
That's a great question.
We talked the other week and we got done. I was sitting on the couch eating lunch, and I'm like, we just talked about
we didn't talk
all this stuff, and we didn't say a damn word about the music.
We did not.
I was just
you didn't miss.
Head in hand. I'm like, oh, I'm such a fool.
Every time we hit the Fire Festival in 14, I always wish that they would give us the Summer Festival music from 11.
Oh yeah,
It's so goofy.
way better.
Yeah, I was talking about that
better.
last night with somebody. The events, the seasonal events in 11 were way cooler. And you could
I miss goldfishing. I hope we get goldfishing
goldfish
soon.
scoops. And if you like missed the previous year's event, you could just buy the items they had with Gil. Whoa!
They used to let us do. They initially let us do that in 14, but then they were like, "No, give us your real monies."
Yeah, we have a cash shop now. Yeah, music. I think obviously with Shadowlord we'll get we'll get Awakening. Yeah. There's not even a question. We will get Awakening, right?
Oh yeah.
The question with it is it a new version? Is it the original version? Is it a remixed version?
Oh, it's gotta be like new orchestral, just like blurry.
I mean, it's rough because there has been there was a mobile game called Record Keeper that actually did its own arrangement of Awakening. It's solid. Go check it out. You could actually earn it as an orchestrion role in 11. But yeah, I mean, there's different versions. It's hard because it's like it's such a good song, but like, do they pull a Return to Evilise and they're like, the original songs are just so good, we don't want to touch them. It's not because of laziness. We just think they're fine the way they are.
Right.
Or do they be like, well, let's press these up a little bit, because if this is a fan servicey thing, everybody's heard this music before, but let's just give it like just like a little bit of new. Like that's what I would like.
Yeah,
I would appreciate that.
I would appreciate just a little bit of sparkle.
I mean, I think too that the Evilise stuff had the benefit I don't know if all of the tracks they used were. I'm trying to remember. But
They
12
were
had just
all taken out, I think.
recently. But 12 had just recently had the Zodiac Age re-release,
Mhm.
in which they like did full, fresh, new, modern recordings
Sure.
of orchestral versions of much of the music. So I mean, I feel like at least there you have a more recent audio track that you can work
Sure.
with.
Yeah, I mean there was an
as
option.
go.
None of that stuff was used
Yeah,
in 14, but they
but
did actually
it
have
feels
it.
yeah, it feels a little different with like 11 or other stuff like that, where maybe you don't like have like you don't have stuff like that, or it's a bit older, or like I would hope that they would do at least like
Mhm.
modern recordings or arrangements of them. But
Yeah.
Yeah, James in the
Let
chat
soak and
saying
cook.
I'd love for the Primals and the Star Onions to collab.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Ooh,
Do you imagine?
wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know, the Primals isn't the first band that Michael Christopher Koji Fox has been in, folks. He used to be the drummer for the Star Onions.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yep, he was their drummer. Yep, and then after a while, most of their concerts, I think FanFest 2000 was it 6 at the Santa Monica Pier? I think Star Onions were at 7 and 8. 7 we had a random band from the LA area called the Smash Bros. that did like just a bunch of rearrangements. Like Jay
Fusion,
Coffin
you need
was
to
in
come to
there.
MacFest.
I actually have, I shit you not, I was at FanFest 2007 with a mini disc recorder. I have some of that concert. I need to get that online. I've been like, if I had like infinite time and energy, I like want to try and track a couple of these people down. Be like, do you guys have any like recordings, or like you told us on stage
Yeah.
that like you had an album coming out, but like did that ever actually happen?
What did we have for 2008?
Never
Was it just
Two-
piano music?
2008 was Kumi Tanioka. Yeah,
That's
on
right.
piano by herself. Which
It
is
was
great.
piano.
She's wonderful.
Good stuff.
She's worked on a lot of stuff for
Yeah.
Square, like Crystal Chronicles. She did the soundtrack for. But yeah, I'm so curious, like if they bring any of these people back. Like they also had after the Star Onions, there were the Non-Amigos, which was Naoshi Mizuta, and there was like a violinist. They put out I think like 2 albums. But I mean,
It's such an appropriate thing. Like if you Nana, but you're going Nana
Mhm.
because you're singing.
Sure.
Sorry, explain the joke.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of musical talent, and I think it would be a disservice to not try and include them if they're able to, right? It would be so cool to hear some new stuff from them, or just like updated takes on stuff. Even you have some tracks from 11 that were from Uematsu as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Uematsu did Juno. He did the music for each of the city zones, or the zones outside the starting cities, I know. But I don't know if he did Juno or not. But it was
don't think he did.
Uematsu, Kumi Tanioka, and Naoshi Mizuta that worked on the soundtrack for 11. But yeah, I'll be happy with whatever. I'll take original. I would like something a little updated, but
Yeah.
If I can throw Awakening on my orchestrion in my house, like I'll be happy. That's like I'm good.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Fusion and Delaney. So there was a lot of discussion about like, well, they have to do this right, or like, the 11 fans are going to be really upset as far as the setting goes, right? Like where
Sure.
they're going to place it, or how they're going to place it, or and with this kind of reveal that seems to be hinting at something like these echo walks. Are you satisfied? Are you pleased by this? Is this like you're like, yes, all right, fine, or are you kind of like, I don't know, it seems like a cop out, or like how are you feeling about it? Delaney, I'll poke you first about it, but
Okay. So my thought was, I mean, this is a welcome surprise, just because like this entire time, like I feel like the messaging has always been, this is 14, that was 11. These are 2 very different things, and they're short of like some small seasonal event things, like nothing big ever really, So any little bit we get, I feel like there will be a lot of fidelity to the source material. And yeah, we're all going to have, wishes and dreams of what we want to see, but we're not going to get all of that. But what we will get, I feel like will be satisfying for what it is. I mean, it's going to be fan service in a game that is not 11. So I think we can be happy with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think my vibe too, and we talk. Go watch the last episode if you haven't, because that was the whole episode was talking about that with Squig, who was also back from the old PFA days. But yeah, I think this is a good way to do it. If this is, I mean, it's 99% probably takes place via the Walk of Echoes, right? Which is a good way to do it and not ruin the canon and the story that's already been established that people know. They can kind of mess around and do whatever they want. I propose the idea of like, well, what if it's just a whole different reflection where the raid takes place? It's same concept, basically, just a slightly different setting. I mean, that's looks like what they're doing. So like, I'm good. I'm just at this point, I'm just so curious to see how much of it they're going to be able to squeeze in. So, all right.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Any final thoughts here, Del, for us for Echoes of Vana'diel?
Oh, I have a question for you. I don't know if this was talked about last time, but you weren't even here, right? So it's fine to ask you this question. What outfits do you want to get from the raid?
Oh yeah.
Is this a question for me or for?
Yes,
For
for you. I'm
you.
sorry.
Oh gosh. Honestly, outfits didn't really get good in 11 until maybe late cop with
I agree.
Homam
I
and
agree
stuff
with you.
like that. But
Homam.
yeah, but
Mhm.
like a lot of stuff up to Zillert was just like, okay, this is the same reskinned thing with a different color.
Mhm.
And
Right.
one of the things that I love that I think is iconic and is already in 14 is the scorpion harness, which I love. But I mean, some of the like um, they could really pull from COP with some of the job specific gear that was crafted, like around level 70 for some, and a lot of it, like sometimes there are some that it's like multiple jobs would share this. So if we're talking about Barone gear for like
I
Dragoon
was
and Warrior,
just
like
gonna say Barone gear. Yeah,
yeah, like
that'd be a
you
good
could
pick.
easily have something that's like here. This is for you could put this on. Is it the Reaper and Dragoon or things like
Mhm.
that. I think that would fit very well, and I think those outfits are like iconic and unique
And
enough.
and I think too. I
For
mean,
sure.
depending on what they do and don't have, if they go Barone and not Homam, you could dye
Mhm.
Barone red and be like, yeah, that's close enough.
That's very true.
I specifically want some of the outfits from Ottergon as well.
Sure.
Like I
Mm.
want
Right.
Nanamiko's
That's-
outfit,
Yeah.
or Naja Salahin's
The,
outfit.
Well, that outfit's from COP. That's the Nashira gear for bards
Okay,
and
I thought
stuff.
it was from later.
No,
Yeah.
that's the Limbus gear.
I don't remember. Well, good. I want that. That is a solid outfit. That's one of the ones that you named, Rook. The like sort of Middle Eastern looking pants and
red.
Oh
Vest
yes,
sequin.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Solid choice.
Very good, very good. I actually they're not gonna give us this, but I would really love to see the wedding armor. I love that it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
trying to be beautiful, but also armor.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
good. Anyway,
All right.
that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
All about the jobs.
or we get a hobby and an Ataberk, but we can't dye it, so we start that
Mm.
whole color conversation again of is this blue or is this purple?
Yeah.
If they
Well,
really
I
want to
just-
get us in the nostalgia, that's what we need.
Indigo.
I'm just imagining any of these with the new graphics and the materials. It's just I don't even care. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I think the metallic coating on stuff, like if we're talking like the
Yeah.
Nashira gear, like that velvety kind of look, like
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, absolutely. Gonna look
They
great.
have the link for it now.
Yep.
Texture.
Yeah, again, I don't think they'll go TOAU, but if they did, there's some really good outfits there. I think a lot of the stuff, because of like the kind of Eastern vibe to it, a lot of the stuff is very ornate, and I feel like that would fit really well with like updated graphics and stuff.
Yeah, and and we've gotten some stuff already, like the Ares armor from Salvage and TOAU. We have
Yeah.
we've got Koenig from earlier on. So like,
Mhm.
even if it's not from the raid, they could still bring this stuff in, or they could slap it into rewards for variant dungeons or something. They could just take a bunch of 11 models and just like vomit it into whatever the 7.x content is.
Yeah.
And
Fusion
like
has
that'd be
given you
great.
his approval, Yoshi P. You may
you go.
sprinkle 11
Just do
everywhere
it.
if you
Just-
like.
Just do it. Fine. You've already started. Just keep going. But yeah, all right. Anything else that you want to add here, Del, before we let you go?
No, I think that's great. You all had some great questions. I actually love hearing the opinions of someone who hasn't played 11 yet. I wish I could experience that 20 years of my life all over again in more ways than
Me
one.
too.
But
Just
yeah, like
so
this
sick
has
with
been great, and I'm
nostalgia.
excited as we get more information trickling in and see if Fusion's nipple graph is right.
Yeah.
Fusion's
yeah.
nipple graph.
I just want them to hire Matsuhiro Arita and just be like, hey, here's how this works. Just like one picture, just flash it up in a cutscene. It can be like the lowest quality JPEG. I don't care. I just want to know how it works. So we'll see.
Back in the day on this podcast, we used to name the episodes after random stuff that was said during the episode. If we weren't naming them literally now, the title of today's episode would be Fusion's nipple graph.
Yes.
I agree.
Honestly,
100%.
Yeah.
Live letter LXXXIV whatever summary, aka
Done.
the
Done.
My God.
You've
The
given.
picture of Charlie Day with the board.
Oh yes.
or
Oh, wait, hold
or
on.
like it sounds like a weird party game. Where's the nipple, right? Like that's ultimately what we're trying to find with
Typed it
this
down. It's
information.
in the chat. I'm not
I'll
going to
get
forget.
I'll get you to this image that I worked on.
There you go.
just
We'll
for you.
throw
There
that
you
up.
go.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Yeah, that's me. That's what I look like when I'm trying to find the nipple. It's really
You
hard
said
to
it,
say
I
that
didn't.
with
So
a
much for
straight
having
face.
me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Del, for joining us. We're
Yes.
gonna take a quick break here to let Del go, and then we'll be back and we'll be talking about the rest of the live letter. So sit tight, and we'll see.
There
you
was other
again
stuff
here
in it. Go fig.
All right, and we're back, everybody. Thanks for bearing with us there for a
Dinosaur
second.
story.
Dinosaur story.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're back.
A
at
dinosaur story.
Oh God, I was like,
Every time anyone says we're back, I always think that. Every time.
been a lot of dinosaur talk. Brooke was streaming yesterday talking about dinosaurs.
Oh
yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, we were
I
talking
like
about
dinosaurs.
we were talking
Those are
about
pretty cool.
wax molds at Chicago museums, and she's like these, and I'm just like, damn. She just right there. There it is. Boom, done. Good old moldoramas. All right, so now that we got all the 11 talk out of the way, there were some other things in the live letter discussion. We are going to be getting Allied Society quests with the Pelu Pelu, and these will be combat job based, which is a little surprising, like a tiny bit. But I mean, the crafter gatherer stuff does usually come towards the end, so I guess maybe not actually surprising.
I mean, it makes more sense to me for the moblins to be crafter gatherer, kind of, or at least crafter, right? They patronize
That's
you.
also incredibly true, and I forgot all about them. Shame on me.
Well-
They're an 11 group.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The moblins.
Yeah. But I mean, I kind of figured. But yeah, Pelu is still weird for combat. Like I would guess the Yak hole, the trolls, because I can only think of them as trolls.
Correct. That is the correct way.
yeah.
Yokui? Is that what they're called?
Yokui, yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
trolls because they're the same models from 11.
Right.
And in 11 they were trolls and they lived on a volcano island.
Yeah, some of us didn't play 11, so they're Yokui.
If you wanted to camp Cerberus, you would go and hang out in their area. You would
No,
fight
they're cute. I like
Cerberus.
them. They look
Yeah.
like trolls. I like their big eyeballs.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I think in my playthrough, I lost it for the troll.
When
I'm
you
like,
first saw
look at them. They're like, look at this race of people that historically committed terrible crimes and subjugated most of the continent. And I was like, look at their big, adorable, shiny
just look at
I
this.
just
eyeballs.
remember them as those assholes that tried to steal my astral candy in 11.
Yeah,
I like candy.
people were kind of surprised, right? That Pelu
Yeah.
Pelu, not so much that they were our first tribe, but that
Yeah.
they are a combat tribe. because it seemed like, you'd be like, oh yeah, craft and gathering, make with them or whatever, and then, submit it for selling. But it does make sense that you can, theoretically protect their routes and stuff as well, or you could
Yeah.
defend them if they were trying to do merchant caravans or sell goods, or,
I mean,
if the
and
stuff that they
there's
cultivate is in
gotta be
danger.
some kind of trading mini game in there. Like,
Yeah, I want to
yes,
see
it's like
battle merchantry.
battle, right?
Yes.
There's gotta be one or two of those dailies where it's like, all right, you got to walk around town and do that trade up thing again.
Mhm.
Like, it's
Mm.
gotta
you
be,
know.
right? Like,
Yeah. Okay,
Just like, the Arxadara.
yeah. One of them just like, all right, here's your deal. I got a Bulbasaur card. I need you to get me a PlayStation 5.
Mm.
And you just go around and work your way up. We'll be getting.
I think. Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say. I think Yokui makes sense as one of the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends if they want to still include other races. Like for example, the Hanu Hanu,
Mhm.
right? Like, do they include those, or are they gonna even go a little bit wilder with this, considering that like this is a land in which all people are equal, and they're gonna do something like the Hrothgar are a tribe, kind of like how the dwarves
Sure,
were a
yeah.
tribe, or are they gonna do something like,
Mm.
So I think there are lots of possibilities with what they could do. I would honestly be happy if we got something up in the northern half of the continent as well. Just
I
because
think, yeah.
I mean, I just feel like the lore up there was a little sparse for some
Yeah.
of the region. So like it'd be nice to actually get to learn more about like the Vieira up there, or the Mikote, and to actually get to work with them. I think could be kind of cool.
I think it's hard because I think we've had like Vanu before, right? We've had goblins before. Do they just do Hanu and moblins? Maybe,
Right.
maybe not. I think those are good like options for other ones, right?
Mhm.
And then I think I don't know if we'd get any territorial stuff in Shaloni. I think they would probably jump to a group of Alexandrians in Heritage Found. I think would potentially be like
maybe
the extra like, oh hey, but what if we did this one? Like, I think that could be an option. Well, Moblin seems like it would make the most sense for crafting and gathering.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. We do get a little bit of Shaloni love though. Nico Wikwi is going to be the new custom deliveries client.
Mhm.
So we'll have access to that with 7.1 as well.
Trolley quests forever.
Yeah, she's the like the wife of the trolley guy. So she's the one that drove the train.
Yeah.
For us.
Well, we got to build them a new train, I guess.
That's the custom deliveries. You guys wrecked our train. I need
Could you
10,000
maybe help out?
pounds of metal.
We don't have the montage this time, so could you please help us out?
We only get one, and we used it on you. So
Yeah, please.
Here's the latest tech from Alexandria. It's called a tome pod. We put one music track on there, just jam out and make us a train.
You know what I really hope doesn't happen, since
Okay.
that group of people with the train is connected so closely to Solution 9. I hope that there is no passing back and forth of Electrope.
You don't want Electrope in
all
this
of a
world.
sudden Terral just has like a high-speed rail system.
Yeah. Part of the issue with Electrope in that shard is how rare it was, and how warlike it made people in the quest to get it. So keep it in your bubble, thank you.
Yes, please keep the Wakandan vibranium within the dome. Don't let it out.
I've been having this it's not an argument. It's a silly back and forth with some people in my static. Every time in the fourth tier, when the boss says something about the endless potential of Electrope, I'm like, that's not true. There does have ending potential.
Hold up.
Because there's not enough of it.
Endless potential?
Yeah. I think.
Like the
I don't know
endless.
what she's
She's just trying to make an endless joke.
I get it.
No.
I get it.
They're called endless.
Like the endless. Like the group of
people
the last
in living memory.
The dead memory people.
Okay.
You said endless potential.
Okay. All right.
Loot. Loot.
Yeah, loot.
Zanedra. This is your loot moment.
It is. I'm just like, my brain went, that might not even be the word that she used. What is
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Either
That'd be fun
way,
if it was.
I'm like, this is the material that your world got screwed up over. No, incorrect. There is endless potential for this terrible mineral.
Said it again.
Yeah.
Killing me.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a good point, though, right? Like, I am so curious, and I wonder if any of these additional
Mhm.
quests or stuff that we have are gonna, like, if with custom deliveries or other stuff, if they're going to try to expand this idea of, like, what does electrope mean for the entirety of the source? Because, like, that's such a huge question. And I honestly, Zanidra, I am right there with you. I really hope the answer isn't that they're like, yeah, and now we're doing a side quest telling you about how Electrope's gonna make everybody's lives better everywhere. And like, rather that it's something where they're just like, and yeah, we're not gonna do anything with this, really. Just this one area, but there's not enough to go around. So
Yeah.
like,
I don't think they
because
will.
I just don't.
We
I
could
mean,
probably
I don't
make
want
it.
Electrope. I know, but I don't want
if
it.
people in this
I don't want it.
world, right, that we're in, if they wanted
Plus,
to
I wanted
share,
to stay fantasy. I'm so sorry. I wanted
Me
to stay
too.
fantasy. No
Me
more.
too.
No, keep your ceruleum. Use your ceruleum. That's all you get. We're going to space. I'm going to ignore it. Use your ceruleum
if
and shut up.
people were about sharing technology for the betterment of mankind, everybody would have one of those damn Magitech tea kettles.
That's
It's
true.
just, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I was Zanidra, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. Because I'm maybe,
Give us back to dragons and castles. Keep your
thank
space
you,
away.
yes. I love Final Fantasy XIV, and all the Final Fantasy games have had to some degree some hybrid of technology and fantasy. But I just love the fantasy aspect. And like, quite honestly, I just want them to only give me fantasy with the lightest of sprinklings of science fiction. And we have gone so far. We are space, we got a spaceship, the Electrope, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't want this to be the game. Like, I don't want every
Sure.
city to just turn into cyberpunk. And I don't, because, like, of course, technology, if it becomes available, everybody wants that technology. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Progress is a thing. But, like, I just don't know how they're going to handle, like, all of this stuff. And I guess things like even custom deliveries make me so nervous because I'm like, how are you going to take a lot of the stuff that happened to this expansion and either make it have repercussions that we just try not to think about or sweep under the rug?
Yeah.
Or don't do that. Or I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird, like, coming from, like, Heaven's Word, we're like, oh, like, as is law, like, that's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden we get Solution 9 and it's just like, holy like, you guys went off the deep end, like, zero restraints. We're like, what if we have technology, but it's kind of like old technology? And now they're just like, yo, but also, like, what if cyberpunk? It's
Just
like,
what if, you know?
So,
they just
looked
went
it up.
for it. Okay.
There is no limit to Electrope's potential. Yet
Yes.
it is.
Did you just, like,
I
ask
mean-
Google, is there a limit to Electropes? And the AI is like, there's not, no.
I never get into it in the static because usually I'm sweating playing the game and not paying attention to what anybody says. And I'm not going to get into it now. This was not me going to get into it. I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Well
great,
done.
thanks.
Well played.
Fine.
Got him. Yeah.
Fine.
But yeah, I mean, okay, to go back to what we originally were talking about, I am interested about the Pelu Pelu and the lore they're going to do there. I'm interested in what they're going to do. So we do have some extra lore with Shaloni and Nitoikwe, which I think is like, I'm intrigued. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess it's kind of tough for me because I actually really have been enjoying. I just in Endwalker got into custom delivery. So I have enjoyed that, and I have enjoyed the additional storytelling and things that they can kind of do with it, as well as some of the little challenge. If you're not like I have 10,000 macros, craft or gather, and you're having to kind of actually eke out like, oh gosh, am I going to make this thing or not? Or is it going to fail? I don't know. Figure out how to push my button. I've enjoyed that a bit with the custom deliveries. But I'm very curious to see if they're going to do anything a little bit innovative with at least the allied quests. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know how anybody else feels about this. Because the thing is just that, like, I don't know. I they serve a purpose and you use them for a purpose. But I don't necessarily feel like a lot of these things I find super, super engaging anymore. or that like I'm really excited about them, other than maybe getting floor or a
Yeah.
cute new mount, I guess.
Mm.
And I don't know. I think they're probably just going to be the same. But I would love it if they did. Like you mentioned, adding in a little game or something, or like I would just love it if they actually did a little something more with some of the additional side content that we get with expansions, rather than it just sort of being like, and here's another thing that's just like a rinse and repeat, just kind of.
Yeah, and I mean,
know,
and
I don't know.
to be fair, I mean that's kind of like their purpose, right? They're
Yeah.
dailies, right? You log in and they're just little things you can do, and eventually you'll get some stuff
Mhm.
from it, and there you go. We'll get framers kits, a minion, maybe a mount.
Yeah.
Then you can use your currencies to get some dies or something. Like
Mhm.
it's they're kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have really interesting stories, like the Omnicron stuff from Endwalker. I
Mhm.
thought was like really cool. They had a whole like little zone for them.
Yeah.
I don't know
They just
if we'd get that here, but probably not with the
they
Pelu.
yeah, they just miss out. Like this is another place to give us more of that lore. More of
Yep.
backstory. Like, yes, people are just going to click through it. It's an MMO. That always happens, even
Sure.
in the one that everybody loves for the story. You asked me about the Safhagen. I don't know. I don't remember that story. Did I even max them out?
I think
Probably
they're
not.
wet. Is that was
Yeah,
their whole thing? They're wet
yeah,
fish
uh,
people
They're wet? Oh, the Sahagin.
because they're
No,
yeah,
like
something
water
about
based. They're like
their
fish.
eggs.
yeah. Their eggs.
Egg.
Something about
They
their
needed
eggs,
help.
like
Wet
they needed
fish
help
eggs.
protecting them, and
Yeah.
they were they were trying to hatch more happy Sahagin and not mean
Then
Sahagin, and
you
Yeah.
can ride a lizard with a really weird face.
Yeah. But you can make me remember it. You made me remember the rest of the story. Like it doesn't have to be
Wow, you
throwaway.
got there. I nothing. Just
Nothing. What is this?
what?
Who's that guy?
yeah, I think you're right though. I think there's a way. Maybe that's it. I don't like. It's not as though I dislike the stories, and some of them, like you're
Yeah.
saying, do have interesting impact or are good. But it would be nice if there was something more, right? Like something that felt really like it was relevant, right? Like it's fun to have little side jaunt ones, and I didn't dislike like the Arcosodra or things like that.
Mhm.
But I think I would be more interested or more engaged to really like have something that I felt was truly expanding my
Mhm.
understanding of like a region or a group, or I felt like I was actually really making like, allies or relationships with them,
Mhm.
or
Okay,
that
so what
yeah.
if it's just like a massive, interesting trial about how to get more golden llamas, alpacas?
I mean, that could be the
I
mount
mean,
from it.
yeah.
I mean, a
Yeah.
golden
Probably
alpaca
will be.
mount makes sense, unless they make that one of the really expensive mounts,
Oh, it
Fair
is
enough.
gold already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Hadn't thought about
it's
that.
right. Like
Yeah.
all these
No, I'm with you. I agree.
allied quests, right? It's always going to include a little bit more about that group and their culture and stuff, but
Yeah, and
they
it
need to
should.
hook you with something like
Yeah.
Arcosodra, right? It's like, yo, but like, what if they raise hippos, but also use those same hippo carts and are like
Yeah.
Davnarian DoorDash? And I'm like,
It's
all
like,
right.
Yeah.
that was cute,
It was.
but I almost
And
would have
memorable.
rather. Yeah, it was cute
Yeah,
and
kinda.
memorable. And I guess it's like not everything has to be really serious, but I guess for me, I almost would have been more interested in the fact that like we know that the island that those Arcosodra came from was destroyed, right? And we like go through the temple that was on that island in the dungeon. And like to me, I would almost be more compelling. I personally would be like, well, now we're going to go to this little zone that's this island, and like you're going to try to rebuild this, and you're going to learn more about Thavnair and the history of this, and like rehome the people that were displaced, and maybe sure still bring peace between whatever groups of Matanga, or you still learn about like some of the cultural stuff, the food, the region,
Mhm.
so it's not as though I hate it. I
Right.
guess I've just been trying to figure out in a lot of coming with 14, like I enjoy X, Y, or Z, but like yeah, where's that hook? Where's a little bit more of something other
Yeah.
than just and we are getting a lot of content here, so I don't want to dismiss that. We've got some interesting content and even stuff we weren't expecting coming up as well. But it makes me wonder, especially for a lot of the stuff that's just kind of become, every we're like, okay, and we just get this, and we just get that, and we
It's
just get that.
that hard thing where it's
Um,
like we're still getting content, right? They're not doing
yeah,
anything, but at the same time, there's like a part of our brain that's like, but can we get a little bit more? I realize that maybe sounds a little selfish, but like more?
Yeah, just or
More.
like just something that I don't know, just makes it
Give me
a little more interesting, or that
Yeah.
like changes up a little bit how you engage with stuff that's even just normal stuff that we get every single expansion, or that makes it feel more relevant, or like the story has more meaning. The Omicron stuff was really like, I agree that one was really good, but I struggle with that one because I just
Space.
don't
Space.
well, space,
Space.
but also just because I bounce off of craft and gathering stuff,
Yeah.
and it's kind of tough for me now at this point. Like, you don't even really have to be a crafter gatherer to do those, but I
Mhm.
can't decide whether or not oftentimes that is a good or bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, would I get more interested in crafting and gathering if content like the crafter gatherer tribe quests actually gave me a reason to engage with the systems and learn more about them? Like, would I feel more accomplished if I had to like actually kind of learn how to make something and then like be, like, oh,
Yeah.
and like, or would I find that more turn off? I don't know, but I do know that custom deliveries at least got me a little bit more engaged versus kind of the stuff that just feels really mind numbing. It's like, we've made this as easy as we possibly can. You don't even have to know anything about crafting and gathering. Just slap something on and then just go like click a thing. Like, I don't know. There's just like, it makes it faster and easier, which isn't a bad thing. But I guess for me, at a certain point, I just don't find a reason to like mentally to be driven to
getcha.
want to do it, if that makes
Did you
sense.
did
No,
you
it absolutely makes sense.
finish the Omicron dailies, Rook?
I didn't, because I kept starting and stopping it, starting and stopping it,
Okay.
and then I would just be like, I know the ending of the is supposed to be amazing, but I guess the thing for me is just that, like, if the content journey to get to that point for something that's so amazing and that's like the trend of the zone is so mind numbing that like I just could not bring myself to to do it, then like I just like, I think that's the problem for me, because I loved. Go ahead.
I think that because you sort of posed the question, I think that content, especially the way that you've described it, which I feel is very accurate, is probably for people who are not crafters, if we're being honest, because the crafters roll in, they go wham bam boom, and they leave. They have an easier time even.
Fair,
So
yeah.
I think that you're probably spot on, that is for the people who might be somewhat interested in crafting and maybe want a little taste, but also story at the same time, because maybe they're not that interested in crafting. So the story and the stuff that you're doing along the way needs to be something that's of quality.
I mean, and that might be why they add that stuff so late, right? I mean, it's hard because they can't just add all the different types of allied society things at the same time, right? Here's your battle, here's your crafting, here's your gathering done. It's like, okay, well, first and foremost, this is a game as of 2.0 that focuses on fights. We don't parlay through Ifrit anymore. So, as you get later, further down the expansion cycle, it's like, okay, well, people have probably leveled whatever combat classes they want to. What else is there to do? Well, we'll throw these out here, and maybe that incentivizes them to do crafting and gathering if they haven't. Which, fair, right? You want people to try the different things in your game. But yeah, it's hard, especially with the Omicron stuff, because there's a lot in there, but you don't really know what all is in there until you get to it.
Right.
To Rook, I would say, if you have not done it yet, think of all the other people in Ultima Thule that you may or may not have seen represented in that series.
I've done about 70. I've done about 75% of it. So I was like at the very last tier of it.
So you've okay. I'm like, there's something in there I think would be a great motivator for you. If that didn't do it, then I'm out of ideas.
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's just, I don't know. That's just kind of it for me, right? Like,
Sure.
I did feel like that, where I was like, the story should in and of itself be a huge motivator for me, but I feel like maybe I'm not alone in this. And again, this say that like I hate all the content that's coming out of 14. I don't. It's just that I've noticed that a lot of people seem to kind of be at the same point, whether it's been a busy year or stuff like that, where just having something that I could do if I were to log in isn't quite compelling enough to a certain degree, right? Like I could go and I could click buttons and I could, turn the stuff in, but I tend to find myself more so wanting a little something that like I'm a little surprised and delighted by, or that I feel a little bit
sparkle.
I feel a little bit engaged by, or I mean, like I said, even the custom deliveries I have found to be pretty fun, because when I was first trying to make one, I was like, oh, I super whiffed it.
Sure.
I was like, oh my god, I did so bad.
Yeah,
And
I have
so
no idea what I'm doing. What?
yeah, and I was just like,
Crafting is more complicated than fighting in this game.
yes, but
It
like
is.
genuinely, when I started trying to do the custom deliveries and not just using a bunch of pre-made macros or stuff like that, I started having fun. I was like, oh right, I can hit these ones, and then that means that most likely
Oh,
I'll
it's
be able
shiny.
to
I
do
get to
this.
hit the special button.
Yes, like, and so I actually had some fun with that, where I was like trying to figure it out, and I felt like, oh man, I did, and like and so I was surprised by that, and I guess I don't exactly know what the answer is myself, right? But even if it just meant that they added in some more interesting or fun mini games, right? Like with the Pelu Pelu, if it had, it's combat, so again, this is a little difficult, right? But like, if there was something where their tribe was that you had to become a good merchant. And like
Mhm.
I'm not thinking about categorizing it just as combat or just as whatever. Maybe you could be still a combat class, but the idea was that like you had to go around and like talk to a bunch of people about the crops and stuff that they grow, and then you had to kind of be like, oh, okay, well, it seems like these people this week are really interested in that or this or that, or maybe I can trade this or craft that, and then I can get more money this week for it, or I can like
It's almost like the workshop sort of mini game on the island, but a little bit more actually
Mhm.
interactive rather than a
yeah.
chart.
Well,
Sure.
and I think
Like
too,
interactive and fun. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking about this as combat class, but remember there was a Namazu quest that you could get where it was like, yo, shoot some dudes with a blow dart gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Combat
could-
means here's
right,
the mini game. So
They
yeah,
could,
here's
they
the
could,
time
they
for
could
it.
easily do that and it'd still be a combat
Yeah.
like broader, like this you can use this level up, but like
Mm.
it's not actually a lot of there could be some other stuff in it.
Yeah,
And I think
sorry, this is just me talking off the top of my head. We don't have to keep.
that's what
it's
we
just
do
something-
here.
That's the point.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's what
I
the
know,
point
I
of
know.
this
Yeah.
is.
But like, it just makes me wonder, like, how can we innovate a bit on some of the stuff that's
Mhm.
even the bread and butter of the game, to just kind of not just like just innovate and like, oh cool, well, we'll just make the story really important, which I do like and I do think is compelling, like we talked about. That
Yeah.
can be a reason.
Yeah.
But like also in some of these gameplay loops, how could we do something that's a little different? Like, sure, maybe you still get experience for X, Y, or Z, but rather than it just having to be pick up 3 quests, dump them, leave, like maybe there is a unique little post-game content that we could put in, or a unique little mini game, or something that is just unique to this group that is more interesting to kind of
Mhm.
do, or that you
Yeah.
can kind of long-term explore or make some discoveries about. They serve their purpose for what they are, and I still think the stories can be really delightful. But yeah, it makes me wonder, like, what could we do that would push us a little bit more?
Yeah,
What
and
could we do that would make it a little more fun?
we've I think we've talked about that a little bit before. I mean, I made the observation back at FanFest. And they're like, also coming in Dawn Trail, all the stuff that was coming, and it's like,
Yeah.
great. Like, it's
Yeah.
we know all this stuff is coming, and that's not to say that there isn't merit to
Mhm.
constant, steady updates on a consistent schedule. And like that's absolutely there is. Like I remember
Plenty
when
of
Old
games want
Republic
that.
came out, and the first major patch after that, I don't even remember what it was because I quit before it came out because it took too
Yep.
long. So like it's great that they have a steady flow of content. Like that's good. But then what about the people that have been here for over 10 years, right? It's like, yes, another patch. Yes, another dungeon with this patch. Yes, copy for 10 years, right? And that's not to say there's not moments within those bits, right, that are really interesting and compelling.
Mhm.
But they gotta shake it up a little bit, and they have to do it in a way that feels meaningful. Like we had variant dungeons in 6.x, and those were interesting. But you get all the endings and then it's done, and then the rewards are kind of like, eh. So I don't know.
Brooke and I really love them. They're the best. Please give us more right now.
Yeah,
I know, I love-
Sure.
it's so hard because it's like,
Oh.
okay, we like what you're putting out. We wouldn't be playing if we didn't, but we would like something we would like something more than just like more of the same. Like you gotta
Yeah.
like a little like Emerald Bam in there, right? You gotta do something to it.
Yeah, it's been 10 years.
Bam.
And we'll talk about some of the stuff that
I
they
mean,
Yeah,
it's
and
hard
do-
because
and we-
everybody's
there is
bam
a
is
new
different.
thing. There
It's
is a
true.
new thing that we're getting, and we'll
There
we'll
is.
get to it.
Ooh, yeah.
So
Gosh, we're dragging our feet. Let's get to it.
I know. Let's get there. Sorry, I'm
um,
the one that bogged us down. But yeah, I think
Oh,
it's
no,
something
it's-
to consider.
can't
But
believe Rook was the one to take us down the I don't like how things are rabbit hole. That's my job.
I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I feel kind of silly about. I mean, like you were saying, I think everything you
No.
said made sense. But it is a big question. I think that we have moving forward, and we are getting some
Absolutely.
new stuff. And I actually think your point is not completely wrong in the sense that like variant dungeons, I don't think hit for everybody because I don't know really how they were integrated into everything else going on. Like
Mhm.
how are these going to play a larger role? Are they
Yeah.
just like nonsensical
And-
side content stuff? Are they
Mhm.
important world building? Are there relevant rewards that come from them? And I actually really liked the spread of cosmetics and stuff that came from them, and other
Mhm.
things. But I think part of the problem was just that it didn't really seem like they really knew how they wanted to integrate the full experience, you know? But
Yeah. And that's
yeah.
that's the tricky part, right? Because everybody that plays this game is going to have their own favorite thing, right? Some
Mhm.
people like the dungeon, some people love the variant stuff, some people like the Allied Society quests the way they are. I liked
Mhm.
field ops, which was why I was a gigantic pile of grump during 6.x because that was the one thing we didn't get. And so it's
Amongst other things.
I mean, look, we don't need to get into that again. I'm trying to be better. I feel like Dawn Trail was my Snickers bar. I don't need to
Okay.
find
Hey, I like
Um,
that.
a little bit.
We like when you're happy. We like you're
Yes,
getting your
yeah.
11.
I like being happy too. Who thought?
Who'd have thunk? Yeah.
What a wild concept. But yeah, I mean, not everything's gonna stick for everybody, and it's just a matter of waiting for that patch that does have the one thing that you do enjoy, and sometimes it sucks waiting for that one thing. But and I've said before too, I'll never fault them for trying something new. Not everything's gonna land, but some stuff does. And for everything that they pop out that I'm like, it's okay. There's gonna be other people that are like, this is the best thing ever, and that's great, and I'm happy for them. So we'll see what they do. We'll talk about the new thing here in just a little bit as we go down the list here. Capstone quests will be added for the role quests and for the Wachu Meki Meki deliveries. So if you've gotten all those done, you got new stuff to do. I'll be
so
really
behind on roll quest, you guys.
I only have maybe like one more to do.
Proud of you. I think
Maybe
I did healer and
this expansion more so I think
ranged.
than anyone than any of them. Like I got like my mains up and I'm like, I'm gonna do the rolls because
Nice.
sure.
I got about
Yeah.
halfway done with my jobs and I was just kind of like, yep.
I think I was
I'm gonna read a book.
playing so little that I think like after Dawn Trail, I'm like, I could play this game again and there's stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
I just need fizz range. So
yeah, I'll be really curious to see what they do with their Legion of Doom.
yeah. The
I mean, that's
dollar
what
store.
Legion of
Legion of
Doom.
Doom.
Dollar Store
Yeah.
Legion of Doom. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll also be
We have the
getting-
Legion of Doom at home.
Yeah. I just want some pants. A decent pair
Solomon
of
Grundy want pants too.
Yes.
That also is aging us, but that's fine. I don't care.
Sure is.
Proud of you. I'm so proud to be your friend right now. I just want to say that out loud. Cartoon Network, everybody. Like Cartoon Network was like, they had like an anniversary. It was like 20 something, 30 something years old.
Oh my gosh.
This past
Probably,
week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, wow.
My
Okay.
friend told me yesterday that Book It is having their 40-year anniversary.
Holy
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go get a personal pan
Rick, do
pizza
you know
just to
what Book It is?
celebrate.
Yeah.
Do they even still have personal
No.
pan pizzas? I don't know.
So Book It. Oh my god, what a
Uh-huh.
tangent. I will be fast.
Oh.
Book
Hi,
It
welcome
is
to Aetheryte Radio,
this
where
little
we talk about
actually
everything
it was kind of a
besides
big. It was
Final
like this
Fantasy
big.
14.
Is a pin. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
pin.
Button.
You would read a book, your teacher would give you a gold star on your pin, and once you filled up the pin, I think it was 4 stars, you took this pin to Pizza Hut, and they gave you a free personal pan pizza for reading
What?
books.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want
Mhm.
pizza for books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
us 90s kids didn't mess around. We wouldn't do anything unless properly rewarded, all right?
Exactly.
Yep. That's Book It, and it's 40 now,
Yeah.
so that's how old we are.
Wow.
Yeah. Where were we?
I don't
Sorry.
remember because my memory's going because I'm old.
We talked about oh my gosh. We talked about the capstone quest for Wachu Meki
Yes.
Inconceivably.
So yes.
Further Hildebrand adventures.
Here we go.
Inconceivably.
It's true.
Nashu's hanging out in Solution 9.
Okay.
Somebody seems to be trying to extinguishing her bomb. What happened? I missed something.
It's fine.
I feel like I'm the one that has such stinky boy energy today.
It was just the tone of the okay. That's just why I was laughing. It's fine.
Tell us
It's
how
not-
you
it's-
really feel, Rook.
I just
Do you wanna go lay down on the guest bed? Just drag the mic over there. Just lay down. Just let it all out. How are you feeling today?
I could not care less about Hildebrand at this point. Like, I'm so sorry. I've
No,
You caught up to
it's
where
fine.
I
Go
felt
on.
about
Go
Hildebrand
on.
the whole
Yeah.
time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
it's fine. Like, it's okay. It's not tied to the relic this time. Theoretically, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't hurt me that it's here.
Yeah.
It might even be like a really funny
therapizing
one.
right now?
Maybe
No.
I'm
Yeah.
therapizing myself right now. Like,
No, Fusion's over here
Okay.
with like a
Fusion,
pad
I
and
see
paper
this,
right
I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I like, it's totally fine. This does not bother me and affect me. But at the same time, I'm just like, boy, do I not care. And I hate that I can't.
Is this what I
One of the
sounded like for
contents
the
of all
last
time.
2 years?
but
Holy
angrier.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Let me
Yeah.
try. It'll probably be funny, and she's in Solution 9, so like there's gonna be something that'll be funny there, and like maybe there's gonna be some lore about her or something, or origin, or because I don't know, her name's kind of interesting, and maybe it could have some roots to the lands here in the New
Sure.
World. I just like, I think I would just be, again, I think I'd just be more excited if like, rather than it just being that there's more Hildebrand adventures, which is fine, it doesn't hurt anybody, but like if it was something like the Hildebrand Adventures, this expansion, are bringing a new little thing of content where you can go around and dig up clues or do some little thing, or you can, I don't know, like
I mean,
I
it's
guess
not out yet. We don't know it doesn't.
it's true, and maybe there
Yeah.
will be, right? But I guess to me it's just like, yeah, I was kind of shocked that they put more in here so soon, and I mean, fine.
Rook is just kind of on like the this is the same old shit bandwagon today.
I'm sorry.
I
I
mean,
am really
don't
excited about some of
apologize.
this stuff later in the live letter. I really am.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot more, but I guess just for me, I've just found recently that like a lot of the stuff that they're kind of just putting in where it is just sort of like, here's more stuff that will barely require any engagement from you, but that you will like just witness. I kind of just, I find myself just sort of wishing like I would like to do a little more than that. Like I'd like to do a little something that engages me a bit more than that. So I don't know. I'm stinky today, apparently.
Nick's in the chat. I've been hangry for decent story since FF9. Go play 11.
11
Fair.
story was good.
You'll hate it, but it's great.
Don't play, just like watch a video.
Yeah.
All right. So other stuff coming in 7.1. This I'm so interested why this was a topic that came up in a dev meeting.
Oh, sure.
They're going to be adding duty support to non-MSQ dungeons. They're like slowly, so they're going to do Halatali with 7.1.
Mm-hmm.
Square Enix
Stop.
right here. Don't you dare make that dungeon easier to accommodate trust. Don't you fucking dare. You don't need to even touch it at all. If people are playing this game and they want to play more things by themselves, they already have an entire 10-year story arc of MSQ. Do not touch or nerf any of the other dungeons. Do not do it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, I get them. I'm coming back from the stink. I'm coming back from
Here we go.
I just went into the stink, and now you're
I
coming out.
love
Okay,
it.
we just like
We're
we
just
high five each
loving it.
other
I
as we
agree with you
transition.
1,000%.
We walk
I'm
past
fresh.
the stink bridge. Yeah, we're like being traded.
I understand why they're doing this, and I do think that having duty support for these dungeons, if you're going to have duty support in your game, is important. In general, to just like allow players to unlock stuff, be able to run stuff, get the whatever cosmetics or things that they want from it. Like, it does feel kind of weird that it's like, oh, if I'm using this trust system in 14, I can only use it on just select stuff, but I can't use it on other stuff. Versus like some of the flexibility that I've seen even recently. I mean, like WoW is still going through all of this, but like, I've seen a bit with like warband stuff, or I've seen a bit with even their kind of equivalent of the trust dungeons and things, where it's just like super flexible and there's not like a lot of weird. And sure, there's still problems within it. There are still things that are better or worse about it. but it doesn't feel quite as much as though it's like mitigating as some of the stuff that we've seen in 14. So like I get wanting to have the option in all of this type of content that you have to be able to use these NPCs so that people can just go in and run these dungeons when they get them. So like I get that. I do agree though, I don't disagree with the fact that we have witnessed that there has been kind of an unfortunate side effect with the NPCs in dungeons, where this has led to removing a lot of mechanics more human intellect based and has made
I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did.
Human intellect based.
Well, you know what I mean? That like humans
Yeah.
can make a variety of flexible decisions or accommodations that at least currently not all general NPC AI pathing in video games will be able to accommodate.
Yep.
And I don't particularly like when, you know, you're bringing the baseline of content down to that level. as
Something that
opposed
doesn't
to-
have an organic brain.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
do think that a lot of the stuff that we even saw in Dawn Trail was a huge step forward and was more fun and had a little bit more of that human thought and other stuff and was more engaging. So I am hoping that if they are doing this, they'll be doing it in mind with the understanding that like some of the other NPC stuff maybe did take out some fun and unique and interesting things. Not all. Some stuff was really improved by having a brush up and having a change of things and mechanics, but
Disagree 5,000%.
it's fair. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I'm in the big like this is bringing back like vibes when they announced Beastmaster for 7.x, where they're like, we're doing another limited job. That's the biggest waste of resources you could do. I think this is also a gigantic waste of resources. As if people want to do, if they're first off, Final Fantasy 14 online, okay. People, they've already been really nice with letting people solo through the MSQ. If you want to come in and just play a story, you can do that without barely interacting with anybody, minus some trials, right? They don't need to make these side things dumbed down. They don't need to, like, if you want to play them with other people. I don't know why they thought that this was like a big thing that they needed to do. I think it's wasting everybody's time, in my opinion. Some people might like it. That's great. Good for them. I think it's dumb.
I answer.
So we'll see. Hall of the Novice. They're going to be adding new stuff for Hall of the Novice that'll help to explain some mechanics, like stacks, tank busters, that kind of stuff.
We've been talking about this forever.
Yeah, we've been wanting to call it like Hall of the Intermediary.
Yeah.
But yeah, more Hall of the Novice stuff. Okay,
great.
That's fine.
I love that. No, I'm really excited about that. Like, no joke.
Make it mandatory. You won't, but make it
mandatory.
It's
Remember
nice though
when,
because
when guild tests were the tutorial?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Remember
no,
those?
yeah, you're absolutely right. You're 5,003% right.
Oh damn.
There's so many. They've done a beautiful job of homogenizing all of the mechanic markers that they have in the game, right? They've even gone back and changed some of the old ones to line up with the newer ones that everybody who's been doing content for a while knows. But all of the people who show up to start are running away with that stack mechanic, like, I'll save you, and we're like, no, you're dead, no! So having this, especially around that level, is a great thing to add. People need that.
Completely agree. No, this is awesome. And I'm so glad they finally did it. I'm so glad they listened. I'm so glad they put this in, because this is something that I think is actually, it is valuable. It's valuable to players to be able to do this, because a lot of the other novice stuff was really outdated. And we do have a lot of folks that come into 14 that haven't played other MMOs. Like, there are a lot who do.
Yeah.
But, I mean, considering that with the duty support and everything else, they have been literally trying to make the game more and more appealing to people who may not consider themselves an MMO player, but who could enjoy and fall in love with 14. So this is a great, like, additional step to just be like, hey, here's some stuff that, like, you should probably know as a baseline for some of the visual in our game.
It's helping you. It's helping everyone around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. PvE stuff. There's gonna be more updates and stuff. Obviously, there's always updates for things. So we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, you know, they don't want to nerf, but some things need to be nerfed. Just gonna say.
Just couple little tweaks.
Or buffed. I would enjoy a buff.
Yeah,
Little
you know,
bit
there
of
needs to be some adjustments.
Slip a little paint thinner into the Pictomancer's kit or something. Just
Absolutely.
like a couple
Just a little
drops.
bit.
PvP, they're going to be doing a bunch of stuff for PvP. They're going to enhance the way that like hit detection works, so that's a little more reliable.
Which is, it's mind blowing to me because like that's one of the things we've always complained about. You know, the server tick, right? This is server tick stuff.
Yeah.
How are they going to fix this? Please do a dev talk. Can you do it everywhere else? Is this the start or an experiment?
I mean,
let me know.
We have talked since 6.3. Which one was Barb?
Barb. Oh,
2 or 3 with
yeah, one of
Barbaria.
those. Yeah,
Because like there was something about that fight where it's a lot faster, right, than things had
Sure.
been previously, and that's just continued, right? That faster paced kind of reactionary stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Like if they're gonna try to test this out with PvP, I would not be surprised at all if it applies to everything or will apply to everything at some point.
would be cool.
Yeah.
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 I don't know how they're doing it, so who knows?
I don't know either.
They have a small
I-
wizard that it's a hamster with a wizard hat.
Yeah.
They just kind of insert him into the
Aw.
server stack.
Oh,
And
finally.
he just goes around and casts his magic hamster stuff. And
Yeah, that job posting must have been open for a while then. We needed that hamster.
No, I'll be curious to see what you think of it, Aldino, when we after we get it. And
Sure,
like
yeah.
how you think they might be doing it. Because I agree. I mean, this is something that even in like the competitive scene or with stuff like that, there's been a lot of discussion about how, oh yeah, 14's PvP and the crystalline conflict is really great and the changes that they made really, really great. But that you'll never truly have like top tier competitive PvP in 14 because of this delay, right? You always want in something like PvP to literally have your reaction and the input, like you want the delay to be as negligible
Yeah.
as possible, because that's what makes it fast, dynamic, instantaneous, where you can act and react in such a way that, again, it's really about kind of the agility of your own responses versus like, well, if I do this, there will be a slight delay and then possibly that, or maybe they will get stunned long before my white mage beam ever actually them, or right, like you want it to be really quick so that if something happens, you can respond to it immediately. So
Yeah.
This is a great thing for them to be working on for this and the rest of the game, and how successfully they're able to kind of handle this. I mean, could be something that changes a lot of stuff in 14. Yeah. I mean,
We'll have to see.
we'll see.
Do you remember that discussion we had several months back where I was talking about double weaving between GCDs, and Fusion's like, that's not a thing you can do. Do you remember?
yeah, no, I remember.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. You just had this blank look on your face, like what? Anyway, if they can start to fix these things like that, fix our server ticks and whatnot, people who have issues with being able to double weave between GCDs are going to see that start to go away. It's gonna be great.
We'll see more ninjas, more machinists, like there's a lot of people who go, nah. Or who are playing on a different server cluster or something, we
Sure.
have one of those in our static, right? And like there are ways that a Jedi would not teach you to counteract that sort of thing. And if they're just doing that, which they could do, just saying,
Yoshi B.
that'd be great. That'd be amazing. That's yet another mod.
Darth Plagueis the Wise the servers, and
Yes,
Darth
absolutely.
Playgoods the Wise.
Yeah, just saying that is
Okay.
doable. If they're doing that, there'd be rejoicing.
there is
Ser-
a server infrastructure update coming in a couple days. Just
Yeah, that too.
saying, I don't know what it could be in relation to.
Yeah.
Nothing's been going
Very
on
soon.
with the servers.
No.
DDoS.
Back in my day, DOS was what my computer booted into.
Huh.
I'd explained to
Sigh.
somebody the other day what DOS was. They're like, what? Remember DOS? Anybody else remember DOS? Yeah.
Yeah. You
Um,
play games on DOS. That's the only way
yeah.
you could do it.
Yeah, 5.5-inch floppy disks. Let's go.
Yep.
They're going to be giving new job actions to all the jobs in PvP,
That's cool.
except for Viper
cool.
and Pictomancer, because you're very new and special,
Mhm.
and you do not get anything new. You already are new and special.
Yeah.
So they're going to update everything else. Then we're gonna get some improvements for some of the other stages for Crystal Conflict, Red Sands and Cloud9, and then some adjustments for Frontlines. And there's gonna be a bigger Frontline update in 7.2. Gonna be a new expert dungeon added with the MSQ in 7.1. It is the Whaaaat field station, which on the outside looks like maybe an abandoned electrope mine, but inside looks like it honestly, it reminds me of like the African lab in RE5 where like the liquors start crashing through the glass and stuff like that. There's like glass, like Yoshida's even like, stuff usually comes through the glass in places like this.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely, there's like some mist, some like, I don't know, some dirt at the bottom of the glass. It kind of looks like blood, maybe. Just saying.
Experiments were done here is basically the vibe that it's things happened here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm
cool.
sure there was some early research into the various things that they do in Alexandria that were done here. Maybe this is where Baby is from. Maybe Baby doesn't have a mom. Maybe this place is Baby's mom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, good.
That series of sentences just made my brain go.
But which Vana'diel is the Nipple?
Yeah,
I gotta go.
I have all the great one-liners today.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you're on a roll, man. It's great. You're in your element.
No, I like the vibe of this one. I do. I think it looks cool. I think it looks distinct and interesting. I might not be like I said earlier, I might not be a big fan of all of the tech cyberpunky, but like, listen, it's here, it's a part of it. So like, I think that as far as this goes, it looks like different, and I kind of like this sort of creepy atmosphere, and I feel like it could give us a bit of insight into the dark aspect of this place, or even maybe part of that answer why no election. Why it does have endless. It does have.
You're such a good friend.
Got you. It does have end possibilities. A hard stop. A no, we don't. Because I mean, so much of the focus of the latter half of Trail is like, especially when you have the rest of the setup of the expansion, where it's like everybody has cultural differences. It's like we need to learn about people, and then it's like. Yes, and I realized that there were extenuating circumstances, but also, like, a lot is happening here, and we're just gonna be like...
That's fine.
I love eating tacos. Do you have a form of tacos? Like,
one of my favorite jokes I saw somebody made when Dawn Trail came out, it was like a Whaaaat thing. Not to hate on Whaaaat, I don't want to jump into that, but it was the idea of like, I'm gonna fight you, but first I have to learn about your culture.
I mean, like... It's important.
Totally
it is important. Like, you should learn about each other. But I feel like you're stretching some of that concept pretty far when it comes to some of the things with Alexandria. Yeah. So, like, I'm hoping that we actually get to take a look at, again, like, more of the complexity of this, as opposed to just, like, and people just live like this, and, like, they're happy, though, now. So, like, I feel like there's a lot in what this means, and or what it can mean for us as well, with the idea of soul and the stuff we learned about art.
Anybody in Alexandria could be happy when one of their food items is salad paste.
It's apparently delicious.
It's like ranch with it. The kids love it, I hear. It's
so I'm curious to see what this brings us, because it definitely looks like a darker side,
Yeah, for sure. Totally. This is the like, it seems kind of happy. I mean Sphene was like a little crazy at the end there. I wonder if there's more to that. This is the more to that. And it's
when's the Warframe crossover, though?
We'll cross over with Soulframe because it's a little bit more.
Which world of Warframe though is the Nipple?
Oh boy!
Stop it! You stop. Put your nipples away, please, sir.
Okay. We're gonna get a new extreme trial. This is formulaic. Gonna be Minstrel's Ballad, Sphene's Burden. This is gonna be Queen Eternal Extreme. Looks like there might be a new like ice arena for this one. So that'll be fun. The next Unreal trial will be Byakko. So there's
it's cool. Yeah,
it's another one of those. I have yet to do any of those, and I probably never will. New thing. We got a new thing, everybody. We ready to talk about the new thing?
Yes.
I like new thing.
Chaotic Alliance Raid. They showed us the beautiful artwork for this patch for Crossroads. We've got like Green Gaia at the top because the new ultimate is coming. I guess we'll just knock that bullet point out now. We already knew it was coming. Yep. But we've got Shadow Lord. We've got Jaja over here. We've got Prish from COP. We never even talk about Prish. What the hell is
We
wrong?
didn't even. Yeah.
First time we didn't talk about music. This
COP
time
a
we
couple
forgot
times.
to talk about Prish. Yeah. Oops. That lends itself further to the maybe
Kinda
another
hope we get
Promathia
Prish's
bullshit
outfit.
story. Maybe
Yeah.
some NPC character glams would be cool. But then in the bottom left, just kind of hanging out is the Cloud of Darkness, and we see this and we're like, "What you doing there?"
Mhm.
So Chaotic Alliance Raid. This isn't the entirety of a raid. It's just the boss fight. So this is just Cloud of Darkness as an alliance fight. The idea was that it's going to be the original idea was that it'd be like an extreme fight. It sounds like this one might be a little more tuned to like Savage level.
Yeah.
I would rather.
What I read said it was supposed to land between.
Yeah.
I read that it was supposed to be extreme based, but it's probably ended up closer to Savage for this first one, is what I heard.
So basically the same thing.
I'd rather they compare this to something like Ozma in like our Arsenal. Like, how is it like compared to that? Right? Because that's really the only kind of baseline we have right now for something of this scale.
Yeah.
We don't know what the rewards are. But they say that the rewards will be as such as to incentivize people to do it multiple times. I'm so curious to see how this does.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm so curious to see how people get together to do this.
That's
I'm in. I'm ready. Let's go. Hell yeah! But also
that's the other thing, right? I mean, there's multiple aspects to it, right? Like the way I perceive it, right? Because I don't do PF groups for EX or Savage, right? That's just not my thing. But if it's like 24 people, and I could theoretically just go in, and then there's like a little less pressure on me, that could be fun. Just go in with a bunch of people and do a thing.
Sure.
But if it's tuned to like Savage, right, how forgiving is it with 24 people? Like, if you still need all those 24 people to be like on point, that gets rough, which I get it. That's a new type of content, like, right? Probably wouldn't be stuff for me, which is again fine. But yeah, I'm so curious just how crazy this gets. It looks like they're kind of mashing the Crystal Tower Alliance Raid Cloud of Darkness with the Eden Cloud of Darkness. You see the
for sure
the human, like the
version.
sexy Cloud of Darkness versions in here with some elements from that fight
with no floor. Look, the floor fell away.
And they got there's the vines and stuff, so they're kind of taking both of these and smacking them together. I'm so curious. Is this going to be like just Party Finder? Are you going to be able to like match make into this? What kind of communication is going to be needed? Because I mean, it's one of those things, like, it's cool to include a lot of people, but there are certain things that come with that.
I am
very
really
diplomatic.
excited. Yes, diplomatic. I'm excited about this. They very much seem to kind of state that this is a trial, right? That like they don't know if they're going to do more of these. They don't know what this will be, but that they are kind of doing this as a test. So I would encourage everybody to try it. Like, I would encourage everybody to try it, get in, give it a good shot. Give feedback. Of course, like, if you hate endgame and stuff like that, do what's best for you, and, keep that in mind if you engage with this and then provide feedback. But this is something that, like, I think could be really cool, because we've talked for a long time about how the Alliance raids, where their difficulty lies is often a little bit variable, but then also how they age over time is a really big thing. So having fights like this that would take some of those and amplify them and buff them out and, provide some other large scale group content. We have groups that do run the Savage stuff in Boja and that do run Ozma still to this day. And, from what we heard, the pressure is a bit lower, although of course here there are some very specific positionals and other things like that, and some of the
Yeah.
pictures that they had where it was like
Yeah, I
3 people
definitely.
on this, 2 people on that.
Yeah, I pulled that up just now and counted the number of people you need in that
Mhm.
first half of the arena. It's 12, which means it's
Yep.
probably 12 at the back half too, which means every
I
single
did that when
person
they
needs to
showed
get a
that too,
tower.
which means there's
Yep.
like 0 forgiveness. Which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look,
Also,
if it's Savage, yes, but for
It's fair.
24 people,
also
we'll
that
see.
floor
I'm
pattern.
excited to try it. I really am.
That floor pattern is from E9S, and it's the floor that if 2 people step on it, you fall.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to be in your square and not move, probably.
Oh, I'm excited.
Right? So you're gonna have to find the right square and never cross
Fusion's like,
over.
I don't want to.
I
But,
love
Yeah,
and
so you
hate
can kill
this.
people.
If you
Yeah,
look at the,
you'll
if
be
you
able
look
to
at
kill
the Atomises, sorry, Rook, you go ahead.
No. You go first, then. I'll go after you.
All right. If you look at the Atomises, they're tethered to each other in a certain way, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering if that's how you travel around the arena to get to the towers you need to be in without stepping on that floor to
Yeah.
absolutely murder your friends.
Or they're gonna shoot
That
stuff
would
and
be
you need
cool.
to.
Yeah, I mean that's
Drag
very
the
possible.
tether.
So.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's
That'd be
I-
interesting.
the coordination aspect just right. It 4 people.
But this is something
Man.
that we have to also think about, the fact that they're supposedly putting in this tool in the game for
Sure.
you to be able to
True.
show battle plans. So this is something where I think that could really shine, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're able to actually share, like this is exactly what we do, this, as opposed to having to learn everything and macro other stuff. Like I think that this is something where that could really shine. And of course they've called it chaotic for a reason, so I anticipate kind of wild. But I do think that people given the chance, not always, but like oftentimes, if they're given a challenge like this, like we've seen with other content that's like this, like Ozma and other stuff, right? Like people will learn this stuff and they do figure it out. And I mean, raids in WoW have been a scaling thing forever, that 30 players. And so again, I think there's potential. We'll have to see how many people feel like it's worth it. Like, because there's that big question again, right? Like what engages us with new stuff? What makes us feel like this is worth doing? I should engage with this. I am compelled to do it. But I will say that like this has me excited because this is something different. And I was not expecting that they would do it. And my hope is that like in the future, perhaps they would release full raids of this or full alliance raids, or we'd get all of the bosses from the raid or something, right? And that it could be some other additional thing that would be extra fun to just get a big wild group together for and like try to do. Be a blast.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot wait to see the chaos, right? They, like you said, they named it for a reason. And I don't know how ham they're gonna go. Like we saw one image, just one. And that's enough to be like, okay, well, they're serious. But if it is good, there's so many one boss things that you could do, right? Like, and I would love to see this just keep growing. Why not? Like, I don't like to do Unreals, right? Because it's the same fight. Yes, it's a little bit harder, sure, but it's the same mechanics. So eventually you get to that point where you're like, okay, yeah, I remember that. But these are brand new, and it's gonna be interesting to see how we make the strategy and how we execute that, with the raid planner or whatever strategy, whatever thing is going to be.
Which we don't know that's
we
even
don't know.
coming with this patch.
Yeah. Well, eventually we might have
Man, I
it,
hope.
maybe. Yeah, I hope so too. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see how it does.
Yeah.
We're also gonna get some updates.
Next stuff.
Dome and
Yeah.
Mahjong.
Not that part.
Yeah. Yeah, not like that.
There's gonna be.
I mean, some people really love Mahjong, and I'm sure they're excited about this edition because, frankly, it's cool.
It's basically like you're gonna be able to with MGP buy like commentator voice pack for Mahjong.
Which, I mean, that's cute though.
That's neat.
cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a thing.
It actually shows them like experimenting with some kind of additional reward type that we haven't seen before, right? Like,
Yeah.
and while it's for something extremely specific,
Give us these for Crystalline Conflict.
I mean, that would be so cute,
That would
wouldn't
be
that? Oh
cool.
my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
I would love
yeah.
it. Yeah, like adding those kind of reactive commentators, or you could have commentators. Or
I love it
don't-
in the raid. It's so cool.
I
Yes,
think
me too.
honestly that's probably where they got it. They're like, okay, we have a
Mhm.
system where we can cue voice lines to different actions and
Mhm.
stuff, and then they decided
I
to
have liked
test
all
it
of
out on
the
Mahjong.
yeah. I've liked all of the memes we've seen with people being like, "Get the Thancred pack," and he'll go, "It's my turn."
Yes, that's so cute. I feel like they could have done this as well, like implemented it so that you could use it for triple triad and other stuff. Maybe it's just because of the popularity of mahjong in some places where they were like, "Ah, people."
Yeah.
But I hope that they kind of like expanded out to some of those other games, or even look at how they could do some for like, I mean, yeah, PvP, or I'm trying to think of other, maybe even additional voice packs or trusts, or like where they could say cute little things at you, like "You're my bestie," like whatever, just like
Yeah,
something,
whatever.
like something
You
cute
get
that
hit,
would
they
just
go,
make
"Watch
you happy.
out!"
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
go.
or stuff like that. That'd be cute. And I hope
That would be
this
so
means-
cool if they added that to trust. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
like it would be so nice if they, because they're talking about the increased rewards that we're supposed to be getting moving forward.
Mhm.
But like, please, yes, add some more reward types. We have like the portraits and the all of that, right? But we've
Yeah.
talked for a while on and off about like even the possibilities of like personality. Like ESO has personalities that you can get that provide different idle animations for your
Mm.
Yeah.
character, or run animations, or you can be like a scholar, or you can be like a brute, or you can be like something like that would be so cool in 14. Or if you could even unlock
Different runs,
rewards.
like the freaking Jester run in ESO is hilarious.
Yes, like stuff like that.
Right.
Or with like tribe quests, right? If they wanted to add some other additional things or interesting stuff, like it'd be
Mhm.
kind of cool if you could get even like I don't know, a special effects packs for your class or something. Maybe they would
Oh, boy.
only show on your end, like so that it
Sure.
wouldn't confuse other players. But like you could, I'm just pulling stuff out of my butt right now. Like for Hanu, you could get something that like had some sort of feather effect that you could get for class or whatever.
Every
or
time you
certain
hit, there's just
classes.
like a swirl of feathers or something.
Yeah, like a
That'd
swirl
be
of
cool.
feathers, or stuff like that, where like maybe that would give you an idea too, that like if these different groups had different ways that they sort of practiced these arts, that you could have by maxing them out or something, you could have like a special effect version for you, or
Yeah.
like there's a lot of possibilities, right? There's so much stuff that they could put in that I think would be really neat to see them expand out what we even expect as reward. So
All right. This is a big one. Zen's
Yes,
like,
yes, 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 yes,
do
yes,
you
yes,
you want to you just want to take this one away? You're like chomping at the bit here.
Guys,
Holy
there's a
cow.
housing update. What the fuck?
I know.
In the year of our Lord, 2024.
So, regardless of where you have your house, you're going to be able to change the interior to look like any of the other interiors. Isn't that amazing? Also, they're giving us new ones, and these new ones do not have the pillars in them.
Yep.
Check
Yup.
that shit out. Check it out.
Okay.
I'm checking.
Check it out.
So,
I don't think they're implementing the next thing yet, but they have said,
Yeah.
what if you entered a size small house and it had a size large interior? So that is the thing that they are thinking about, which is very, very likely to be implemented. And I think that everybody's going to shit themselves.
Oh yeah.
10,000.
I mean, there's still the problem. Yeah, there's still the problem of being able to get a house. But if you have a
Yeah.
small now, just waiting for that large to unlock, you know how much longer for my friends.
Yeah.
It's on the horizon.
Honestly, I would look at medium plots again if this came out.
Sure.
This is
I'm
like
sure.
10,000 years too late.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it is.
Fair.
But
Instance housing.
Okay.
That's all you need to do is instance
Listen.
housing. Square
This
I'm
is a
Enix.
gonna-
baby step.
I'm going to say both things can be true. We can both be infinitely excited about this
Mm.
because it is so much better than what we have.
yeah.
But we can also say that it is not an actual fix for greater issues, right? Both things can be true, because I'm right there with you, Zen. I am so excited. I was not expecting, like they had talked about like, oh, we've been toying around with pillars, but for so long we've been like, please just let me have a large interior. Let me upgrade the size of my house, if guild
Yeah.
or just something. And like at the very least, this is doing something within the confines of the system that we already have that is a big improvement. Now, of course, does this solve the problem? No. Do they like desperately, and are they so overdue for some kind of massive housing hall that they could totally repackage as an expansion selling feature or something? Like, yes, there are so many other games that are so much better right now, and it's a hot mess, and people, you know, like, it's still so clunky. Like, if you're just going in and trying to decorate a house, any other understanding or anything else at your disposal, like trying to figure out how to glitch stuff, move stuff, make the second floor, do all that, like, it is a huge headache. Like, there's so much they could do. But also, this is so big. Like, thank you. Like, it actually shows that to some degree they have been listening as just doing nothing at all and continuing to only add housing wars, but not enough of them. So, like, I'll take this over nothing.
It's great.
It took them a while to untangle that spaghetti. Let's just
It's
put it
true.
that way.
The
right?
spaghetti is still tangled, and this is still a Band-Aid solution.
Yeah, all right. I was
Yeah.
gonna say this is
Like,
a Band-Aid. Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great, but
But
this is not a solve.
It's a Hello Kitty Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a cute Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a very good
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
And
nice.
You like
It's
okay.
got your favorite childhood Saturday morning cartoon on it. It is not
There
a
you go.
regular ass just beige Band-Aid.
Yeah.
What if I
Doing
want a
this
beige
is-
Band-Aid?
I mean, that's fine too.
You
but
can
doing
have
this
that
is really
too.
nice. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so glad there's stuff without those stupid pillars. I'm so glad there's other things. And like, yeah, I think this will even make small homes like seem more desirable to people, because people are always like, well, there's always smalls available on
Yeah.
my server. And it's like, yeah, because people don't want to like,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
some people are fine with it and they're content with it. And I've had, you know, like, I think our FC house is a medium and my personal small. But like, in every opportunity where I give in the chance, like if somebody was just like, would you like a small, like, big one, please?
Ooh, Rook, you just cut out. Would you like a smo what?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
I
being a
said
little
in-
choppy today.
Oh, maybe it's something with the internet stuff.
You're fine.
But like, in every opportunity, if somebody says to me, would you like a small house or a big house? Every single time I'd be like, I have the big one, thank you. I would
Yeah.
like the big one. I'm not
Big
gonna
one.
say the small one if the option is that I can also have a big one.
Big house. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's this for apartments? Would be my follow-up
Oh,
question.
actually, I think that was talked about too. So
Was it?
it's not unlikely that you'll be able to do that with your apartment also.
Good.
Which means, I mean, they could just cram more apartment rooms in there, and there's your instanced housing.
Good.
Yes.
Good. That's what you need, and that's what they should have advertised, honestly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In terms of this internal glam, so what they have here, they show a large interior. You're also going to be able to swap interior types. So like if you have a house in the Goblet, you can give it a lavender beds interior, Hingashi interior, whatever. Okay, that's cool. And then they have this other...
my rundown of it was the one that's like, guess what? And Fusion's like, here's the facts. In case
I'm
you
working
missed
up
any of
to
that.
the incredible amount of disappointment. Don't worry. Me and Rook just swapped like this episode. So they have this. They show interior. I think that's Goblet, and then they basically they keep the wallpaper. They change the border, so like the little bumps from like pillars and stuff on the sides are gone, and they get rid of the actual pillars. That's fine, but there's nothing in here that leads me to believe that those like little doorways at the top on the left in a large house are going to work any better with the door partitions, because those don't flush at all. That still sucks ass. Like, fix these other giant problems you have with interior housing stuff. Like, this isn't what I wanted. They're like interior glamours, and all they did was take away pillars. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like, give me a completely different layout. That's what I was hoping to see, because like the way that this works right now, the way that they have the gaps with the doors and stuff, or they have like the window, like, what is that for? Nobody wants that, and there's no good way to cover that up with the stuff and the tools that we currently have. So they've still got a long way to go, I think, to make housing what it should be. This is a great first step. It's stuff that should have been done a
Tell
long
them you like
time
it.
ago.
Tell them it's a great step. Tell them that
I
you
just
want to
did.
see
Please.
more.
I just told
No,
them
I'm- you know,
in the
everybody
nicest
on the
terms.
forums.
Oh, in the forums. Well, I mean,
Everybody
also tell
on the
them
forums,
it's...
go.
Yeah.
You like the thing. You like that this change and this change was made. You think that this change, and this change would add to the wonderful additions that are shit that they've made recently. Go. Happy faces. Smile. Big faces. Go. Yes.
Imagine having to tell somebody that their bad system is bad. They know. They have to know. There's no way they can't
I know, but
Yeah, they know.
And it's taken us this
positive
long to get-
reinforcement is gonna get you places, and being a bitch makes it so that they don't tell us about job updates before the actual job updates
It's
drop
true.
anymore.
This is exactly why they don't talk
Honestly,
to us
I'd love for
anymore.
them to surprise me with something in a patch instead of hey, look, it's 7.1. Here's 5 MSQ missions. Here's a dungeon.
Yeah.
Here's this thing that we had in the last 0.1 patch. Surprise me with something.
I am surprised by this.
I will also join Zenitra. I was surprised that happening too. I mean, plus we also had that alliance, the Savage Alliance.
The chaotic was the only thing that surprised me.
chaotic.
The housing stuff was more just kind of disappointment because it's stuff I either I was thinking would happen
Yeah.
Give me
differently
your dress, I'm sending you a Snickers.
stuff they should have added years ago is not like a ooh wow cool. It's about time, and there's a big difference for me when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I get that. There's a lot of people who feel that way right now, right? And I mean, we were just talking about that earlier. But yeah, I mean, it is important to tell them that, hey, we like this.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I
More of
don't
this.
innovate more.
I mean, and that's fine.
I am from the privileged position of having had a house almost since it was released. So
Sure.
I'm sitting here like pretty happy with what I have already because I was in that first wave of people who was able to get large houses. I'm very excited for this, and I'm excited for everybody else to be able to everybody else who has a house or can get a house or an apartment to be able to experience the large house thing too. Good luck filling that motherfucker up because it is large.
That's true.
My biggest hope is that they can look at stuff like housing in other games, especially like Guild Wars 2. I've seen like 5 minutes of Guild Wars 2 housing, and it makes me so depressed for the housing that we have in Final Fantasy 14.
You're like, I have to stop.
I really hope that they look at that and just go, oh, we need to do better. And instead of making Halatali playable with trusts for some reason, they spend the resources and do it where
I had
it
a fun
matters.
bonding moment with my mother-in-law because she plays Guild Wars 2. And she was like, oh, they have this new housing thing. And I was getting really into it. I was doing this and this and this. And I was like, you understand now.
Now you get it. Yes.
Yes.
No, it's really nice. Like, there are still some limitations and issues with Guild Wars 2's like implementation, just in the sense that like some of the things that were like hanging on from like the old guild hall system, like amount of items that you can place within a set area. Like you can't layer quite as many as you might like and things. But again, this was a system that they released into a game that is roughly the same age as 14, that they released from scratch as like a brand new feature that they brought other devs in to do, and that they, I think in the state it was released in, already were like so far ahead of the curve in flexibility and things that you can do in it and all kinds of stuff that like, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of other games should, that like, if Guild Wars 2 can do it with their relatively small team, their far less amount of funds, and like it's like we can do more than this. We can do more.
Yeah,
it's
better.
I mean, back I think it was the Endwalker media tour, right? We sat down, we had an interview with Yoshida, and I think not even during the interview, it was during just kind of like their general like presentation. They're like, yeah, like because 14 is such an important thing to Square Enix right now, it's making them so much money. Like they've basically given us a blank check to develop Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
And ever since they've made that remark, I constantly see things that tell me that that's not true.
Yeah.
Because if it was, X, Y, and Z would have happened, right? So I just they got stuff takes time. Game development is hard, etc. I realize that, I acknowledge that, but they gotta. There's stuff they need to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll say again, like, both things can be true, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can be really excited about the fact that they're doing something and that this is going to open up a lot more possibilities generally with what we already have. But we can also, like, fully acknowledge that, like, hey, like, there has to come a certain point where you're not just doing stopgaps on things, but rather you're delivering a ton of stuff and you're like, look at this really amazing thing that we went above and beyond give you, that like addresses everything you would want and does all this stuff. Because I mean, I agree in the sense that again, development is difficult. My cat has made his way in. I'm sorry if I don't know if you can hear him here in a second. He pushed the door open. So like there does come a point where I think we as players get a little bit tired of hearing a lot of the extenuating circumstances, right? Like, oh, we couldn't do this because, you know, and this and that, and it's the coding is just we can't do it, and we tried, but like we can't do it, and we can't do hats, and we like. And I understand that there are reasons, right? Like I understand there are reasons with the code and other stuff that are real and valid. And I don't want to dismiss those or direct hate at developers that are trying to do the best with they can, because like that's completely fair. But at the same time, right, like as players, I think some of it is also knowing when to do a little illusion magic where maybe it is really hard and maybe there is a lot of bring them into thing that happened and other stuff like that. But if you have the resources and you have the popularity and you have a game that earns revenue from many different sources, then like you have to kind of do that. And at some point you have to be like, look at the thing I made you, and be like, amazing days, all this stuff, and we did all these things. And like, because I think after a while, players they get fatigued from constantly hearing reasons why they can't have the things that they would like to have in a game. And they just want to be told, like, you can have it. Here it is.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, especially with a game like 14, I think really what the issue with 14 is for anything right now is just the age. They have this foundation that was made so many years ago, and you can't really... It's hard to mess with the foundation of something to build, right? Nothing is impossible, but it could be really hard and time intensive and resource intensive, right? So it's not that, oh, it's impossible, we can't do it. It's that they've decided they don't want to, which is fine and valid. But when they're like, oh yeah, man, hats are rough. And like, I saw a thing where like the community has made mods and they have hats for all Viera and Hrothgar. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's possible. I don't understand. So it's, and then they look at certain other things. They're like, okay, well, bubble chat will incorporate because people like that. And it's a balance of them deciding what is worth their time. And we don't always agree with that. So, it is what it is. I mean, they're a popular MMO for a reason. I think they've taken a little bit of a hit over the last handful of months. There's some other MMOs that I'm hearing about more than Final Fantasy 14 right now. And hopefully they see that and acknowledge that, and that drives them to try some new things, do things that people have wanted for a long time, try to crack into that foundation a little bit, figure out where you can do some improvements to the base of stuff. And so there we go. Dawn Trail soundtrack is coming up October 30th. And we're reading this. This is the summary from Nova Crystallis, by the way. Go check them out. They always do amazing live letter coverage. Shout out to the people over there. Original soundtrack for Dawn Trail's out October 30th for Japan, and November, no date, 2024 for NA and EU. Don't order it from the NA and EU store. Order it from CD Japan if you want it in a timely fashion and probably cheaper. Primal's concert, we mentioned that. TGS merch, we've mentioned that. TTRPG rulebook is coming out soon. So obviously you can only get that from the store. There's the deluxe edition and stuff like that. Probably really overpriced, but it's there if you want it.
If you need it.
Do you need it?
Oh, I do not. I do not need the deluxe edition. There is no need that I have for that. No. But I mean, the base game, almost compelling enough. It's so hard right now because D&D is coming out with their next series.
There's
of books,
a lot of tabletop stuff coming up here at the end of the year.
Right.
Like Dagger Hearts in December, I think. There's a lot going on.
Fun fact, they released their information about their pre-order the same day D&D was like, our player's handbook is out. And I'm like, wow, isn't that's World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy right there. Because for a while, people were like, oh, WoW patches are timed, and it's not true. But it just kept happening, how it would come out when we're hyping for stuff. It's just funny. But they did that on purpose. There's no way. Mercer, I'm on to you. There's no way.
I was going to say, Matthew Mercer, I thought you liked the D&D peoples.
I mean, there is a reason they made their own system. Let's not.
Yeah, all's fair.
Daggerheart is super fun. Just by the by, I got some of the little cards here.
fun.
Yep.
They're like little reminders to you while you're playing the game. It's
Yep.
really neat.
But yeah, that's it. That's the live letter.
Mushroom person.
That's our 11 talk. Again, thank you to Del for joining us earlier for that.
Yeah.
Whenever they release more Echoes of Vana'diel stuff, you can bet I will be all over that stuff. So at this point, it's probably like trailer is the next thing we'll see.
Yeah.
For that, and if they don't begin that trailer with "It all began with a stone," I don't know what you're doing. Fire your trailer person, because that's gold right there. I'm giving that one to you for free, Square Enix. Do it. If you want, you can find me online as Raffledurg, RFLDRG. It's on Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch, and YouTube. YouTube has an X because there was another person named Raffledurg on YouTube somehow. I did a stream showing off a bunch of the PAX merch the other week. We'll have that up on YouTube here probably in the next week or so. If you want to see what the stuff we got in the blind boxes was, no dupes. So we'll take it.
Lucky.
We'll take it. And yeah, that's it for me, Zen. How about you?
Hello. My pretend name is Zanidra, and I'm on the internet and Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Zanidra_A. Because there was already a Zanidra also. On Blue Sky, I was much faster than the other multitude of Zanidras, so I'm the Zanidra there. It's just me. Sometimes I do things on Twitch under the name plus the word when the number shut the word. It has underscores on Twitch. It's where I talk about D&D and why I have these Daggerheart cards and various other ridiculous crap that's on my desk. I have a really big dice. It's really big.
Whoa!
I can't use it.
You could kill somebody with
dents
that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes I do. Actually, a lot of times, many days of my week, I do D&D and other tabletop things. And then that goes to YouTube plus the word when the number shot the word no underscores. Someday I might eventually do something for Final Fantasy XIV on my own personal channel. What is it called? Strawberry Bop. Forgot my name because I don't use it. I think that's all I have. I don't know what happened to me. It's your turn, Charles.
Yeah, you can find me here and only here. And I guess on our Patreon. Yeah, that's another place you can find me. I am also on Twitter, Aldino. Surprisingly, I didn't have to fight anyone for that.
It's because it's Aldino, not Alphino.
Yeah, exactly. It is not Alphino. And I'm also on plus the word 1, the number shot the word. In a couple of games, more coming soon one day. Probably some 14 stuff at some point there. Definitely here. So stay tuned if you want to see how that plays once it's out. Because we will be playing it at some point. And yeah, that's about it for me. How about you, Rook?
Yes, hello. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv Rookery. That's ROOKURI. You can also find me on YouTube at the same, and you can find me on Twitter at Rookery_. You can find me here, and you can find me on the Lightbringers Guild Wars 2 podcast, as well as a variety of different special events, shoutcasting, hosting, reading, all that good stuff. We'll see what happens with the ultimate world first race, but I'm excited. Hopefully there'll be an event and busy. Otherwise, keep your eyes peeled because there are some things coming up in the next couple months I can't talk about quite yet, but that we'll be doing as well. That'll be a little bit special. I will be, depending on when you listen to this, at Gateway Fate next weekend. That is October 12th and 13th in St. Louis. So if you're going to be there, keep an eye out because I'll be roaming around the floors and I'll be panels. So I'm excited to be at the 14 fan convention. And it will be happening yearly, supposedly, so keep an eye out in 3 years if you can't make it this one.
You've actually jogged my memory. I'm going to be someplace next weekend, too. Actually,
Right.
Charles is also.
Fair.
Onicon.
I guess I'll just be here then.
I'm sorry. I mean,
Wow.
you could go to either of these places.
They're just
Hop on a
leaving me
plane,
all
buddy.
by myself.
How about plane buddy? Anyway, it's Onicon in Texas. I go yearly. I'm the mascot and the artist for the badges most of the time. While there, relevant to both of the channels that I'm on, I will be participating in the Final Fantasy TTRPG game as a panel, I'm going to play with Sly, who is on our channel sometimes. Is raid leader Ansa/time bleeder, the person who is organizing the Final Fantasy XIV meetup at this con, and the con chairman. We're all going to play this game and hopefully not die. And if you're interested in seeing how it's played in person and you happen to be in Texas, come see us at Onicon.
Cool. Good on you. Just
Charles
look at
will be there
everybody.
too.
Everybody's just killing it.
Yeah,
Doing
I
all
will be
these
there.
things, being a mascot for a convention. Aldi will just be there.
I'm just gonna be there.
And I'm
because,
over
you
here.
know,
I'm like the crazy 11 nipple guy now. That's like my claim to fame.
No, I love that. for you.
I take that back. It's not my claim. I don't want to claim that that's my thing.
No, you said it.
It's too late.
Someone
It's
clipped
on the
it out.
internet.
It's already
Yours.
clipped. Somebody clipped it out of
yours now.
context. It's on 4chan. It's done. There's
Oh,
no
boy,
coming
that's
back
it.
from it.
You're done.
Oh man. All right. If you want, you can get a hold of us. Email aetheryte@gamerscape.com. You tweet at us at Aetheryte. God, words, man. Aetheryte Radio.
Just stick with it. Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio. You can find us over on Blue Sky Aetheryte Radio. And you can find us as Gamerscape on Twitter. God, I'm like, which one are you? You're the X. What is that? What is the name? The logo is the X. What is that one called?
Twitch X, Blue Sky,
X?
Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitch,
X is just
YouTube,
called
and
X. Wow, she's just doing it for me. She's like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just gonna do it. And Discord.gg/Gamerscape. We have a channel on there where you can talk to us about stuff. I don't know why I like slipped into Bane voice there for a minute. That was weird. And if
We
you
can live
subscribe
in
to
the
our
darkness
Patreon, you get
together.
access to a bonus channel.
We talk to you there too.
You
Sometimes
can
I
talk
throw
to
in
us about
stupid
pasta
pictures,
makers.
rating.
Yeah,
Great, we're doing so good.
it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And as a reminder too, you can subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Aetheryte Radio. We're doing monthly Q&As and putting your name in the credits. You'll see that at the end here. And also you will get early access to stuff that we do that is not podcast content. Episode 1 of Dungeon Disaster is now available for September. The wheel was kind to us.
It was.
It was not nearly disastrous as we thought. I didn't get a joke that Zanidra told. So today she didn't get a joke that I referenced. So it works out.
Yep.
Balance of in the universe. What did it cost us?
Yes.
Everything. So
We have
that's
thinly balanced.
that's gonna do it here for us today, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. And if everybody's gone next week, so we're probably not gonna do an episode. I'll just be here. I'll just be sitting here staring at the camera and be like, "What's up?
Gotta talk to people.
How you guys
It's
doing?
just-
Yeah.
You guys
know?
Just
excited
talk
for
more about 11.
You
Yeah,
excited
just
for
gonna say
you excited for nipples?
Who wouldn't be? Let's be honest.
Usually,
I mean, yeah. So that's gonna do it for us for this week, everybody. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.